Alrighty.
What's happening, people? And welcome back to the GavGoesIn podcast. So, guys, got a new guest on today. Man like Exedra. Bro, how you been?
I've been good, man. I've been good. How about yourself?
Yeah, all good, man. All good. Obviously, a lot to get into. Manchester United, Premier League season. Yeah, man. As I said, there's a lot to talk about. Obviously, big up yourself for coming through as well to my live chat when I've been streaming. And again, I think
thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no, listen, man. As I said, man, I like to have people that know their football, and we have positive interactions. And as I said, when you came on, even some of the questions you was given, it was, as I said, man, it was good to get you on, man, because again, these kind of conversations is what I like, and yeah, man, it's my pleasure, really, man, to have you on. So,
100%.
Yeah, guys, big up for coming on. Big up to Sham, big up to I Am Titanium, and big up to Reluctant Gamer. And guys, keep your support coming through. As again, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you do. And again, if you enjoy the content with me and Exedra, guys, make sure you smash that like button as well. So, obviously, the big matter of the Europa League final coming up.
Yep.
Manchester United, obviously, versus Tottenham. Am I nervous? I wouldn't say I'm nervous because I expect the job to get done regardless. But as you know, my feelings on this manager, yeah, it's let's just say, man, I'm not convinced with this manager, and regardless if United win or not, for me he has to go. So what's your take anyway, man?
Oh man, like honestly, if there was any team that would any team that I wanted to face in the finals for Europa, it would have been not Spurs. Literally anybody else.
Yeah.
Mainly because one, they've had our number the entire season, right? So we just don't match up well against them, no matter what the players are, whatever, and the way this manager sets up, however the team kind of functions. We've always just got completely obliterated every single time. So if there was one team I didn't want to face, it was Spurs. And even though they don't have Kulusevski, they don't have Maddison, they have no creativity, then they're also the 16th, close to where we are on the table, right? They're just as bad as we are, technically. Yet every time they play us, it doesn't seem like that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I agree. I think for me, I mean, Tottenham have had a bad season, as everyone knows. What I would say is, Ange Postecoglou did say, in his second season, he does win a trophy, and obviously he's one game away now from confirming that, really. But yeah, for me, you'd have to say United are the slight favourites, purely because the pedigree of some of the players in the team, the likes of Casemiro, been there and done it. Obviously you've got the likes of Ahmad as well, who's got the quality to turn the game on its head. Those two in particular for me. But I'm more wary of how this manager is going to line up, because I believe, I know, and again, we're going to go through the lineup anyway, but I believe his team selection for me is going to be crucial, and that's not including Lenny Yoro, Diogo Dalot, and Matthias de Ligt, because again, we're not sure if those guys are going to be featuring anyway. But his lineup for me going forwards is what's going to tell me how this game is going to go. I mean, what lineup do you think will be good that he needs to pick?
See, Gav, the lineup I think he should be playing, right? He will never play, as he's shown throughout the entire season. I mean, if you think about Amorim and Sporting and the way he plays, it's always been, to keep it simple, you have wingers at wing back, you have 8s that cover, and you have 2 creative 10s.
Yeah.
Now, I understand when he came in, like that creative 10 we didn't really have, because Bruno, the way he plays, he's a volume player. He'll get his assists and that sort of thing purely based off of the volume of times he tries things. It's not
Yeah.
because he's, massively, this amazing quality player that, can dribble past people, has like passing skills that are one of the best in the world. It's not that. It's just
Mm.
because he tries so many times that he'll get it done. So
Yeah.
we don't
Mm.
really have that creative 10, right? So I understand to some extent why he started, starting with Ahmad in the 10, Garnacho in the 10, uh, sometimes putting Bruno in the 10, even though I disagree with it. But the main thing that I've always, really didn't like this from the very beginning with this manager is he never played his wingers at wing back. Even when
Yeah.
we had Rashford and Anthony, right?
Mm. Mm.
He never started them. The only times we ever saw those guys were when he subbed them on, right? And it would be in place of Dalot, right? Or in place of Mazraoui, right? Because we didn't have Dorgu at that time. And as soon as those guys went out on loan, what have been our wingbacks every time has been Dalot, Mazraoui. Or then when Dorgu came in, then Dorgu filled in for the left-hand side, Dalot on the right-hand side, and Mazraoui went to the left-back situation. So what I think he should be playing is Garnacho as one wing back. He should. I mean, I'd go Ahmad on the other side. I'd go Mount and Kobe as the tens. I'd go Cass and Bruno in the eights.
Mm.
And unfortunately, probably Hoyland because we have nobody else, I guess, up front. And then we have Maz, hopefully De Ligt if he comes back,
Yeah.
and Yoro, right? If not them, then I guess we have to play. I mean, I wouldn't play any of the young people. I wouldn't play Fredrickson, even though he's shown a lot of quality. I wouldn't play Heaven. I don't think he's
Yeah.
even registered.
Yeah. He's not ready for that for me.
Yeah, so it would have to be Lindelof Maguire to fill in the missing spaces. So,
Yeah.
but he's never going to do that. So he's just going to put probably Casemiro Ugarte in the midfield. Bruno's going to play in the 10, and then probably Mount. But yeah, Mount's probably going to start in the 10 alongside Bruno, and then Kobe probably fills in, right? But again, I don't like that midfield. It's imbalanced. There's a lot of defenders there. And the way
Yeah.
he plays, the ways he sets up, we're not going to get a lot of chances this game. And whatever chances we do get, Haaland never scores. So it's going to be a very tight game, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Listen, I agree to what you're saying, man. 100%. I think this manager is a coward for me. In terms of, the profiling of players that he doesn't seem to put in the right positions. And he just reverts to a lot of the players that, he likes are players that are more athletes as well,
Yeah.
and you can see that in the likes of someone like Patrick Dorgu. The way that Dorgu is being used in this team, I don't really like, because they've identified him and thought, right, he's quick, he's strong, and too many times, it's just lumping the ball forward and expecting him to try and run onto it, which isn't any kind of style to play that I like to see anyway, But
Yeah.
one thing you said, and this is what's important for me, is that if we're looking at that defense that you mentioned with Lindelof, Maguire, maybe a Shaw, again, Fredrickson won't be ready and shouldn't play for me anyway. I think this is what's going to be key. So if we're saying, and again, you've got the likes of Yoro, De Ligt, and Dalot, we're not sure what's happening with them. But what I think is going to happen in this final, and I can predict this as well, what Amarim's going to do. Because that back three there of Luke Shaw, Maguire, and Lindelof, I think doesn't fill many people with confidence, I would say. I think, there's a lack of pace there in between Maguire and Lindelof. And then you've got Luke Shaw again, who isn't going to be match sharp. And obviously, he's hit and miss as well with his form. So I think what the manager's going to do, and again, this will be, it's going to be a positive and a mistake for me, because I think he plays Mazraoui as one of the defenders and drops either Lindelof or Shaw, just to make that defense a bit more sturdier, And I think
100%.
if it's a case where Yoro and De Ligt and Dalot can't play, or they're on the bench, I think he definitely does that. I think obviously if they can play some part in the game, whether they start, then I think it changes up the lineup. But I think he might go with Mazraoui as one of the 3 defenders. And I believe it'll be Mazraoui right side centre back, Luke Shaw left side centre back, and Harry Maguire in the middle. And then I think he's going to play Ahmad right wing back, Patrick Dorgu left wing back. And he's going to play Ugarte and Casemiro in the midfield. And he'll play Bruno as a left 10. A toss-up between Mount and Garnacho to start, and he'll play Højlund. I think that's the way he's going to go. You know, again, a lot of it depends on who's available, which we'll probably find out. I would say tomorrow for definite, to see if Lenny Yoro, Dallo, and even De Ligt, who I think out of all 3 of them might be the most likely to drop out. But I think, yeah, that's the team I can see him going with. You know, me personally, as I've mentioned as well, if he does play Rasmus Højlund, I believe the team are in trouble, because having witnessed that performance that he put in against Chelsea, against Tosin Adarabioyo, Levi Colwill, again, as you've probably heard, that is one of the worst performances from a striker that I've seen. And he's going up against Christian Romero and Mickey van der Ven. And as we know with Romero is very aggressive, and Mickey van der Ven is arguably the quickest defender in the league. So I don't know what change Højlund's going to get out of them defenders. And if the ball keeps coming up to Højlund and then going back, you know, United are going to invite pressure. And then sooner or later, you know, Tottenham will get through, because Tottenham have proved this season that they can score goals, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be a key thing there. Do I think Mason Mount starts? It's hard to say, because, you know, he has been starting Garnacho. We know Bruno's going to play, and I think he's going to play Ugarte with Bruno for that protection because of Ugarte's legs.
No,
So
but surely he starts Kaz though, Gav. Surely he starts Kaz. He's been amazing for us, and he rested.
Casemiro is going to start, no doubt, because he come off as well against Chelsea. So that was a sign that he wants to rest him for that game. But what I'm saying is that I think he starts Ugarte because, again, he's a coward. This is what I'm trying to say to you. He's going to start Ugarte because he wants to have a bit of control in terms of defensive responsibility as well, you know. And as I said, I think Bruno's going to play, and it means it's going to be Mount, Garnacho battling for a position, because I think he will play Højlund. So I don't think he's going to play Mount as a false 9 or Bruno as a false 9. And then that means Amad Diallo. And what's mad to think as well is that you've got arguably your best talent in Amad Diallo playing as a wingback. And this is why I hate this system, because I can't stand seeing Amad, even though Amad can play there, but Amad's not a wingback for me by any means. So that's how I think he's going to go, man. I mean, what do you think? Do you think he plays something similar, or?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I liked somebody in the chat just mentioned it there, where I hope he plays Bruno false 9, but I don't think that's going to happen, because the last time, you know, something like this happened, and this is something I'll credit, I guess, the old manager with, when we were in the FA Cup, right? Horrible season that we were having.
Yeah.
And for the 2 or 3 games, even before the final, he ditched what he was doing in the league, and he went, okay, Bruno, you're going false 9. And we're going to play with the Kobe as one of the 10s, and we're going to play it like that to try and win, because that's what he thought might get them get the trophy at the end of the day. And that was very, very smart, in my opinion, because Højlund was even then terrible. Even now, it's funny that he's not that great as a player, but even him, he's having a horrible run of form. So you have a bad player who's having a horrible run of form, and is, you know, confidence is non-existent. So if you had a bit of courage, you would go, you know what, Højlund, you haven't been giving me anything, and you need, maybe if he comes on at the end of the game, I can understand it or something like that. But I'd take anyone over him. I'd put Maguire up front if I could. Right? He's been atrocious.
Yeah, he's shocking.
Atrocious for us.
Yeah, I agree. He's shocking. I mean, as I said, he's arguably the worst striker I've seen at the club. But I'll go on record saying that because I can't tell you a thing that he actually does right. You know, and as I said, that performance he just put in recently was inexcusable, man, to be fair. And you know, I think just alone, I mean, I know people will say he's the only striker that United have at the moment, but just alone for that performance, he should at least be on the bench. You know what I mean? I mean, personally, I'll take him out the squad because I just don't think he offers anything, but he's going to be in the squad, definitely. But yeah, I just don't know what he offers. Not one bit, man.
I mean, yeah, this has been happening for a while, though, in terms of any player that has a bad performance, right? And we call for, you know, his performances to improve and stuff, right?
Yeah.
This manager, last manager, they never get dropped. There's no accountability. So when you have no accountability for these performances, these stinkers that these people have, and you don't have the courage to go, you know what? Your performance was so bad last time. You know, I'm just going to take a risk on someone else.
Yeah.
Right? Because I can't trust you anymore. That should be, you know, you should have to answer for the performances you put on the pitch. And it's because that accountability has not been there for these past 2 seasons that we are now accepting, this fan base is accepting that we're in 16th, 17th. Right? And they're saying, let this manager have, you know, have a transfer season and, you know, see out the next season, throw that away when that inevitably goes wrong. Right? And then we waste another season, and then we, you know, get another manager and all that. It's just shocking, right? Because there's no accountability at the club, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, the manager can come out in his press conferences and say, oh, you know what, your performance wasn't good enough, but a lot of this is also on me, which is true. But then he talks the talk, and then he does nothing to adjust. He doesn't, you know, try out one of the young guys. I mean, the league performances were so bad. No one would have argued with him or, you know, complained if he took someone out of the under-21s, someone out of the under-18s, and just put them in and tried to see what happens, right? Nobody would have, you know, gone against him for that. But he's never even tried. And from the beginning, again, never putting wingers at wing back, that sort of thing. So we always have more defenders on the pitch. If you're going to lose a game, go out swinging, go out attacking. But from the beginning, he's always been defense, right? This system can be a hyper-attacking system, right? You can, at a certain point, have 7 attackers on the field. And if you want to go even balls to the wall, even if sometimes the centre-backs do nowadays have a lot more qualities that they can kind of go forward and bomb in like Yoro did in that one game, right? You can put so much attacking talent on the team if you play this formation right. But the way he's choosing to play it is always defensive, always defense first, and yet we concede a ton of goals as well. Our goal difference is like -12, I think.
Something like that, man. I lost all interest personally. Lost all interest, man. But what I think is it minus? It's minus something. I can't remember. Yeah, I think it's one of the worst. Yeah, but you know what it is now, yeah. And this just brings us nicely into so what you've said. Like if you see what Shams said as well. So Shams said to have 3 centre backs plus Casemiro and Ugarte is too defensive. Now, I agree, but the problem is this manager's going to do that because, as I've mentioned, he's a coward. And what you said about having wingers as wing backs, that's just ideal because you know someone that I watched quite a bit mentioned this actually, and they said that how do you expect the team to score goals when he sets up with literally 7 defensive players? And that's just obvious. I mean, you know, Man United, too many of these fans as well are talking about, I mean, I've heard over the last few days, Gyökeres to United, and I don't really understand why they think Gyökeres is going to come in and score goals because the facts are, if this manager is setting up with, you know, 3 centre backs, 2 defensive players at wing back, Cass and Ugarte, you know, you're only relying on really 3 players to get you goals.
Yep.
Realistically. So I don't understand why he continues to do this, you know, and really and truly, I don't want to hear that he hasn't got the players because Anthony was there. Anthony was there for you to play a winger as the wing back. You know, even Patrick Dorgu, you know, Patrick Dorgu really, for me, in a different system is a left back, but why not try him as a right wing back? Like, try different things. The fact that Cheeto never come on the other day for Hoyland when Hoyland was that poor doesn't make sense to me. Cheeto can't play in Europe, so at least give him some game time in the league.
Yep.
Hoyland was that bad, but still lasted 90 minutes. So, as I said, this manager is just doing everything possible, to lose someone like me, because, as I said, I didn't really expect him to be doing a lot of these stuff. And again, as Sham has said, it is too defensive, but I can 100% see him doing that in the final, because I don't think he's going to be brave enough, and that's the key, being brave. I don't think he's going to be brave enough to play Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes in the midfield. But if Man United want to go on the front foot and score with what's available, he has to play those two. I would love to see Kobbie Mainoo play, but Kobbie's not going to play, and Kobbie needs to be playing it in one of the 10s. Yep. So yeah, man, I just think that he's going to set up with Casemiro and Ugarte, and that defense, as I said, if Lenny Yoro and the Dalot don't play, I worry for that defense. I worry big time, because I know Tottenham have had a poor season, but the way Ange sets them up, they'll be going for goals. So how he's going to counteract that, I don't know. So, but I just think personally, regardless of the result, he has to go, man. Like, I've seen way too much already, and there's no excuse really for this season. And again, I think the players he's had at his disposal, and he's chosen to either let them go out on loan, because what makes me laugh as well, is that these people that say Ineos didn't get him any players in replacement for Rashford, Antony, Malacia. I mean, he has come out, Amorim, and has said, he was aware that no players were going to be coming in.
Exactly right.
Like, so, as a manager, why would you just weaken your squad, regardless if those players that you let go you didn't want? Like, I don't get that. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense. Why would you let those players go, knowing you're not getting anyone in replacement? Because you're making your job harder. And definitely, if those three were still at the club, I don't think United are 16th. I don't think they are.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, it can't be any worse, right? So having more options, more things that he can do can never be a bad thing, right? He chose to get rid of them, and he chose to weaken his squad depth, right? And so when one of them got injured, right, now he cannot blame anyone else but himself. And I'm sick of hearing, fans saying, "Oh, Ineos let him down in the window," because again, Amorim, if he had any sense, would have asked as soon as he signed, pen to paper, what is my January window going to be like? How much money do I have to spend? Right? And that is one of the first things I would have asked before even, signing up to be the head coach. Right? And he must have known. And number two, there's no way Ineos chose to get rid of Antony and Rashford. Right?
Yeah.
That was also, must have had to go by the manager as well. Right? I mean, I can understand Rashford to an extent. Maybe that was, a combination of things, right? But Antony, for instance, you never heard any, rumors about him doing stuff on the pitch or anything like that, right? And there's no way that Ineos would weaken the squad, without his permission. Because if someone did that, why isn't he walking away?
Yeah, I agree.
Right? So he's complicit, right, with the weakening of the squad, and he's complicit in the fact that, he cannot be complaining, and credit to him, I guess, in this case, he never complains about, I don't have the players or whatever, right? As far as I've heard, he's never outright said that in a press conference, right? But then again, I don't care what you talk in the press conferences as long as whatever I'm seeing on the pitch makes sense, right? Or you're trying to, get something out of the team or whatever, right? Even if you have the worst players imaginable, right? As long as you can see that the coach is trying things, changing something. And, we talk about how we always start with like 7 defenders on the team, right? Even that can work as long as you have the right setup tactics to be able to let that kind of work. For example, I mean, if the famous 8-2 game against Arsenal Man United, where we battered them, right? We started 8 defenders, right? And Arsenal wasn't, like a terrible team at that point, right? But there are ways to make things work using qualities of your players. But I feel, and the reason why I'm personally, done with the manager is I don't think he has the qualities, because to not notice certain players not fitting certain roles, for instance, playing Kobe in the double pivot, right? Not using your wingers in wing back, right? Using Bruno as a 10, right? Credit to him, I guess, he started to move him back to the 8, right? But then using, Garnacho in the 10. And Garnacho's never a 10, and he doesn't have an ounce of creativity with him. He's much more suited to being a touchline winger. So in this case, a wing back thing would work incredibly well for him, because that's what he does. Just runs up and down that line. That's the only thing that he has. And yet he doesn't do it. So what that tells me is he's not able to identify the qualities he has with his players. So if he can't identify the qualities he has in his players, and he can't, set up the team in a way that benefits his players, why do we have this guy why should we give this guy another 100, 200 million in the summer? Because he's already fundamentally shown lack of coaching skills. And again, this is not meant to be a club where you develop a coach. The coach is meant to come in and do his job, right? We are not a development club. We need performances. We need to be seeing something, right? And okay, sure, he's developed a formation and he, tries to play a certain shape. But having the right shape and playing the formation are two entirely different things. From the last season and this season, no matter how we play, I don't see any build-up, Gav. I mean, think about the way we play. We pass around our back four when Onana kind of passes to Mazraoui, or passes to Euro, passes to Maguire. It goes out to our wing backs, whoever they are, who have to come in because the midfield doesn't do much, or when the midfield comes in, the forward players don't help out to give passing lanes and all that, right? So the ball always goes out to one of the wing backs who come in, right? And then they start putting pressure on because now it's in one part of the pitch. And then it's hoofed up all the way to Højlund or whoever's up front. And inevitably, whether it's Garnacho or Højlund, because those are the two pacey players in our team, both of them don't have the quality to either hold the ball or get the ball afterwards. So every time we just cede possession. And the only times we ever really score a goal, if you think about it, are free kicks, corner kicks, or when the opposition makes a mistake in possession. That's it. We don't have a way to reproduce goals through our build-up, right? And if you're the manager of this team, the first thing you would try to do is try to find a way to, be able to build up on that sort of thing, unless you want to be like Stoke, right? And so what this manager has told me over these 20 or so games that he's managed is he wants to play like Stoke, right? And I don't believe that these players are so bad that they can't be they can't at least become available to receive a pass. I mean, this is basic football fundamentals 101. The players have just forgotten it, and I don't think it's that hard to find a way to make the players start to move, right? If you think about just coaching a team, like these are your basics, and when the basics aren't being fulfilled, I don't understand giving this coach any time. Sorry, I've gone a bit on a rant here, but it really
cool, man. Keep going, man. Keep going.
Time.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like this whole time, he needs his players. I for one ain't buying that rubbish, man, and I never have done, because I think these are just excuses for a failing manager. And also what you said as well in terms of the way that United play is reminiscent. As I said, I keep saying that this manager is very similar to Ten Hag in terms of the players that are consistently picked, the style of play as well. I mean, yeah, it's a different formation, but United resort to playing the ball to Bruno. Bruno just tries to lump it forward, whether it's to Dorgu now, who has pace, up to Højlund or a willing runner in Garnacho, you know. And it's the profile of players that have been recruited by the last two managers is what the massive problem is. Because I don't care what anyone says, athletes are not going to win you football matches over pure quality. They're not. They can help and aid in a squad, but if you think that any team's going to win purely with athletes, it's not going to happen, you know. And Man United, for me, down the years, have been too reliant on that. You know, all the players that are criticised are usually the technical players, because it's a fan base that can't get to grips or understand that football is played on the floor, not in the air. You know, so these fans, a lot of the time, don't really know what they're looking for. You know, and as I said, if you look at a lot of time as well, the amount of players that run away from the ball, you know, whether that's a coaching instruction, I'm not too sure. But when someone gets the ball, you know, a lot of the players just go that way. You know what I mean? So it's one of them things where I think personally that's been instructed by the manager. Again, I don't understand that, because there's a reason why, if you look at Casemiro, he's not press resistant on the ball. But there's times where he gets caught, and there's times where he hasn't got any options, you know, and that's because the majority of the team just want to keep running the other way from when the ball is, you know. And again, what I would say, and DXR has mentioned this as well. So he said Garnacho isn't strong enough for wingback. What I want people to realize, yeah, as well, and I think a lot of people are either blinded to this or don't understand, yeah. This 3-4-2-1 formation, you know, there's a reason it's a 3-4-2-1. The 2 means you're number 10s. You're not wide players, you know, you're not wide forwards, you're not wingers. You are meant to be a number 10 in this system. You know, if you're playing a 4-3-3 or a 3-4-3, then the 3 behind the striker, you can say they're either wingers or inside forwards, which will mean you'd have a number 9 who might be a false 9 striker, let's say, yeah. But this system in particular is a number 10 system. So number 10s throughout the years, you know, and I'll bring some names into it, you know. Obviously, different formation. Pablo Aimar, Juan Roman Riquelme, Francesco Totti, Dennis Bergkamp, Del Piero, Ronaldinho, Zidane. Help me if I've missed any other players. Yeah,
there's guys, plenty over the time, yeah.
Roberto Baggio, yeah. These guys were number 10s. And what does a number 10 mean? It means like you're the mercurial player, the one that's going to make something happen. And invariably, you're playing just behind the striker, you know, or you're playing in a free role, we would say. So to think that this manager, yeah, and again, different system, but 2 number 10s behind the striker, which means you have to be creative, yeah? To think that this manager, yeah, and again, I still can't believe this. To think that this manager has a player in Garnacho whose attributes suit in this system, as you mentioned, a wing back. Yeah. To think this manager keeps playing him as a 10, he should get sacked for that alone. Because I don't understand why he's still persisting with playing him there. And I don't want to hear people tell me he hasn't got any other options, because you've got Christian Eriksen there, who's a number 10. And yeah, people might say his legs have gone, but Eriksen's a creator. But yet you don't want to play Eriksen because you want to play Garnacho's legs. But Garnacho is, in this system, a wing-back, because his attributes lean to a wing-back, because there's no winger in this system. So things like that, you know, I just don't understand why the manager keeps persisting. And to obviously take on DXR's comment as well about he ain't strong enough for wing-back, I agree, you know, but this wing-back system relies on physicality. And although Garnacho isn't physical, he's a willing runner. So in this system, it will work better than what he's doing at the moment. So again, this manager, you know, he's got a lot of questions to answer, because this Garnacho experiment that he's trying, you know, doesn't make any sense to anyone. Well, I would hope anyway, you know. And as I said, that's just one of many things that this guy just can't seem to figure out. Or maybe he does know and he's just stubborn. But
Yeah.
one thing's for sure. There's no way that Garnacho should be playing as a 10 in his system. And
Yeah, and again, DXR, I understand your point about not being strong enough for wing back, right? But I can counter this by saying, what about Ahmad? Why does Ahmad somehow perform in the wing back role? He's not the most buff guy. He's not the tallest guy. So why is he able to perform as a wing back? It's because this idea of physicality, yes, it's important, but in the wing backs, the whole point of having a wing back is someone who can defend in a line, right?
Yeah.
When you need to, and someone who can run all the way forward and provide that width in the attacking threat. None of those require you to be physically bulky, which is why if you look at any wing back, right? Yeah, they might have muscles and that sort of thing. Doesn't mean they're physical, right?
Yeah.
Most wing backs are never physical. They are runners, right? They can be creative. They can be, the people who provide the channels. But this idea of strength and being strong, the only real positions you would need that are, for instance, someone who's maybe box to box or as a striker. No other person really needs, to be physically dominant.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you look at the fullbacks, because obviously not many teams play wing backs, but just look at a lot of the fullbacks because they're doing a similar kind of job in terms of supporting the attack up and down the pitch. Look at Nuno Mendes, obviously physicality. Nuno Mendes isn't like overly physical, but he's a pure athlete, pace to burn, and can hold his own. Similar with Hakimi, pace to burn, can hold his own. I mean they're the two elite fullbacks in the game right now. But if you look at what's his name, Denzel Dumfries at Inter Milan, Alphonso Davies, these guys are not like physical beasts, but they're just pure athletes. So if I look at Garnacho, for instance, it's not about him being physically strong to play wingback. His attributes lean to him being a winning runner, and the winning runner. Because if anyone knows throughout the years, this wingback role is not easy. You have to be someone that's committed to that position. It's up and down, up and down. And I look at Garnacho from all the profiles in the squad, and especially out of all the attackers, he's the most winning runner. So just use his strengths in terms of being a winning runner as a wingback. But to think that he's playing him in a 10, as I said, is inexcusable from the manager, because I just don't understand, why he continues to go and do this. And as I said, not all fullbacks or wingbacks are physically strong. You would say they're just complete athletes, And as I said, like you said with Ahmad's not like no physical demon, you know what I mean? But Ahmad's got intelligence for one, and the things with Ahmad, what people don't give him much credit for, Ahmad's very tenacious. It's very rare to get a number 10 that he is, or a winger like he is, that is tenacious like that. It's quite rare to have someone that is that tenacious but has that much quality on the ball. But what I hate about this whole Ahmad experiment is that we're now looking at Ahmad really as a wingback, and he's never been that. But it's because this formation that this manager is hell-bent on playing just seems to be, it seems to be in people's thinking now that Ahmad is some sort of wingback at the moment, So, yeah, man, it's ridiculous. But let me just go into some of the questions quickly. Guys, big up yourself for coming through. As I said, if you do enjoy the content, make sure you smash that like button and make sure you subscribe to my channel at GavGoesIn as well. So Sham says 4-2-3-1 used to be my formation on FIFA. If you've got the left back and right back out attacking, you've got the CDMs to help the centre back if there was a counter. Yeah, listen, 100%. I mean, if you look at a prime example of that 4-2-3-1, well, I say it wasn't the same formation. It was quite similar because they played more of a 4-3-3. You look at Barcelona, for instance. They had in their prime, they had Sergio Busquets, again one of the best DMs of his generation, if not the best. and you had the fullbacks in Jordi Alba and Dani Alves, two attacking fullbacks, to help join the attack. But then you had someone like Busquets who was highly intelligent, that if there was a counter, he can just sit in and try and block the passing lanes. And again, Busquets wasn't physically strong, but intelligence in terms of interceptions, just knowing when to be in the right position, enabled Bath to stem the flow of the attacks from the other team. So, and obviously you had in the 4-3-3, you had wide players like Messi, Neymar, who were creators first, but were also goal scorers as well. So those guys were number 10s playing in a 4-3-3 out wide, but they can play where they want. So it's about having, combinations like that, and just playing players in their right positions. Football's not a complicated game. Just play players in their rightful positions. Like if I'm a manager, I'm looking at Garnacho, and I know the number 10 requires creativity and is a position which requires highly skilled players. I'm not going to play him there. Like it just doesn't make any sense. And the fact that this manager continues to do that, he ain't the manager that I thought he was, because I thought he was a lot more intelligent than that. And as I said, he just needs to because again, the final on Wednesday, he's going to do this probably the same thing. I think the best bet for him to do, if we're just going on by what we're saying, if he was to play Ahmad and Mason Mount, let's say, then I'd think, what? At least he's kind of learning, because Ahmad and Mount, out of the attacking players that they have at the moment, are the two that most can play as a 10s. Who's to say he's going to do that? Because Bruno's going to start, and as I say, I think Bruno's going to be playing as a left 10.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I think, man. But big up Sham anyway. But one thing I want to get onto just quickly. So as you've been talking about Man United, obviously, in their chances for the Europa. Exedra, tell me what you think about Tottenham's lineup. What do you think Tottenham are going to do?
I mean, I don't know exactly what the entire injury list is for Tottenham, but I know that Kulusevski and Madison are out. So I know that they're not going to have much creative threat, if at all. So anything that they're going to get is loose balls, running at people and that sort of thing. And I've heard that they've actually started to stop playing as high, especially in Europa, right? Just to squeak out results. So judging by that, I mean, in terms of quality of players, I don't think Tottenham has anything special. It's going to be so Man United, Spurs, it's all going to depend on what Man United we see, really. Because Spurs are going to be a known quantity where they don't really have any creative threat, but they will punish us if we make fundamental mistakes where, some of the passing, or we lose the ball, or we make some bad decisions, that sort of thing, right? Yeah. So it's not, and I think Son is going to be playing. I think Solanke is going to be playing. So they have people that can, even though Son's not having the best season, they have some threats, right? Yeah. So that's why I say it's going to be a close game, because I don't think, especially if you have Casemiro in that midfield, I don't think they're going to get a lot of chances. Right, but again, then you can say, we have an unearned goal, and that it doesn't matter what chance. You can't trust none of it to save shit. But I honestly don't really care about what Spurs really line up. I think a lot of their players are going to be subpar. They're not going to be the best quality, right? The way they play fundamentally is based on the opposition just being worse than them, right? So as long as we don't play in a way, or play worse than their pretty much their mix of B and A team, we should be okay, right? But they're going to be aggressive because they have to win this final. Their season's over unless they get something out of it, so they'll be up for it. So what you're going to get, as with most finals, it's going to be almost like a 50-50 game, right? Where both teams are going to be at it energy-wise, right? But it's going to be, again, the quality difference, which is why I think, as you said, Man United should be favored just because we have more creativity in our lineup, right? We have Ahmad, even though he's not been playing that well, Ahmad, recently, right? If he turns up, it's a game changer. He can win the game on his own. He's that good.
Mm. Yeah.
So as long as we have opportunities for that creativity to shine, right? And if the formation again and the lineup that the manager chooses, allows for it, we should be fine in this match, realistically. But again, something happens to us when we play Spurs. And Spurs always seem to have our number, just the way they pass quick, right? They always open up passing lanes for each other, right? So they're able to play through our midfield. They're able to play through the lines against us to always get the ball to Son, to get the ball to Solanke and that sort of thing. So really, I think it's just going to depend on how good we are, what Man United turns up and what the lineup is. Because I don't think in terms of quality, Spurs have anything that can really harm us with Maddison and Kulu out. They have nothing and they have to be direct, right? So, yeah, as long as we can stay composed, we should be fine. But, I have my reservations. I think both managers are going to be coming out defensive. So it's going to be a bit of a fist fight.
Yeah, I agree. I think if I'm honest with you, I think there's a few things that Tottenham could do which will cause problems. I think if we look at their back four, they're going to play Udogie, Van der Ven, Romero, and Pedro Porro as the back four. And to be fair, I think that back four there, they should be fairly comfortable, I would say, in shutting out. I think the only threat Man United have really is Ahmad, but if Ahmad's playing as a wing back, then he's going to have a lot more work to do in terms of trying to be an attacking force, And again, Udogie can match him for pace and power as well. So it's not going to be easy. But what I want to say is, there was talk about Tottenham playing Pedro Porro more advanced in midfield, which I don't see happening. But I think the fact that Kulusevski and Maddison are out, obviously in terms of their creative play that those two have, it could in a way work in Tottenham's favour. I think there was talk about Bergvall might be back for the final, but I'm not sure if that's been confirmed.
I don't think so. They'd be rushing him back, and if he does come back, he should be someone we target immediately, because people coming back from the injuries that fast, there's no way he can last that long. So
I mean, personally, if he is back, he'll be on the bench. I don't see him starting the game because there was talk about him being out for the whole season, but there was talk about him, getting back in time. But we'll have to wait and see. But what I think could be key, and this is why I think Amarim's going to start Ugarte with Casemiro, because that midfield that Tottenham could play, and I think Basuma, Bentancur, and if he plays Papa Sarr in there as well, I think their legs in there could overwhelm that United midfield if he plays Casemiro and Bruno in there. So I think just based on that, I think Ugarte starts purely because of the legs that Tottenham could play. Because I think Tottenham will play three in there, and I think it's going to be those three. And I think if Lindelof plays right side centre-back, which is why I expect if Lenny Yoro does come back, which would be a bonus, but if Lenny Yoro is out and what's his face, and De Ligt and Dalot don't make it back, this is why I think he plays Mazraoui right side centre-back, because that channel in between Son and Solanke, if it is Lindelof playing there, I think they're going to give him problems, with the pace. So, I think Mazraoui plays there if Lenny Yoro or if Lenny Yoro's not back in time, or Dalot, you know what I mean? So I think there's two things that United need to be aware of, and that's that channel in between Son and Solanke, whoever's playing right side centre back, and that midfield, because that free midfield, even if it is Casemiro and Ugarte, I think they could overwhelm United in midfield, for sure.
Yeah.
And especially if Højlund starts and he's not holding the ball up, it's going to keep going backwards and forwards. You know what I mean? I think in Brennan Johnson on that right hand side, I think if it is Luke Shaw, I think Luke Shaw is capable, of shutting out Brennan Johnson. But again, if Luke Shaw starts, what Luke Shaw are you getting? Because this is a guy that hasn't played for a little while. And as I said, I think there is some key matchups there. I think, as I said, that midfield could prove a problem, especially if they play that three that I've said. I think Bentancur and Basuma are definitely playing anyway. And again, you've got someone like Basuma who is very persistent on the ball as well. And that's going to help them to sustain attacks. And if you've got Bentancur, who's a bit of box to box, midfielder as well. And as I said, Sarr's all energy, and that could prove a problem for that United team. But I think Postecoglou personally, I actually don't mind him as a manager. I actually think he's a good manager. But I think if Tottenham win Europa, I can see him leaving, because as I said earlier today, he said that he always wins a trophy in his second season. And what a way to walk out, man, if he does do that, because he would know that this season's unacceptable, but if they come out with a trophy, and again, for me, them coming out of a trophy and United coming out of a trophy, it's more of a bigger thing for Tottenham for me, because United have shown over the last 10 years that they can win trophies. And for me, if they come out of a trophy, Tottenham, after not winning one for so long, that's a bigger achievement for me than what United can do this season, in my opinion.
100%. And given the history of Spurs as well, right?
Yeah.
Trophies mean everything for these guys, right? They don't get a chance often to win trophies. So when something like this comes along, best believe it's going to be a hard game, right? And I guess with Ange, it's a bit weird, right? Me being Australian for one, right? So I have a bit of bias there. But it's been a bit weird with Ange, because his transfer window, although he spent quite a lot, a lot of the main players that I really had a problem with them signing, as soon as they signed Brennan Johnson, right, I knew they were going to be worse, right? Because I saw, the quality Brennan Johnson delivered the year before they signed him.
The thing is, do you think that was a Postecoglou signing, though?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Which is why another reason why I think Ange might actually stay, right, is if they wanted to sack him, they should have sacked him by now, right? And and they're not shy about sacking managers either. Daniel Levy, if you remember, he's the person who sacked Mourinho before the final, right? And just so he didn't get the paycheck,
the payout,
So I would assume Ange probably has a similar thing in his contract, right? So the fact that they haven't sacked him yet, I think they might just end up keeping him. And given their transfer window that they spent a lot of money, admittedly not on that great of a talent, I think he might be able to stay one more season, or a part of a season. But I like the thing that you mentioned about some of the matchups, especially when it came to Mazraoui, right? Because Mazraoui, right, his strengths are in his ball playing ability, his ability to keep the ball, make the right pass every time, his intelligence. He's one of the more intelligent players on our team.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
And which makes him able to defend adequately, right? I wouldn't say he's an amazing defender, but because he has that intelligence, he's able to defend adequately. But the thing with Spurs especially is because they have that energy. And I like that thing that you said about the midfield as well. But I think, honestly, Gav, I don't think, even if we play Cass or Bruno, or we play Ugarte and Cass, I think they still play through that midfield. Because from the start of the way this manager has played, right, we never press effectively as a team.
Yeah.
Never ever.
Too many gaps. Yeah.
Way too many gaps, right? So if they decide, as they have for every single game this season, if they decide to press up on Tottenham when they have a ball at a certain point, right? I think Spurs can open us up really easily. And I think that would happen regardless of the midfield formation we play, unless we have like, an ultra defensive type of thing, which he might play with, Mount covering in the gaps as well with Casemiro and Agate. But
the thing is, yeah, I make you right on that. Yeah, I think Tottenham will still get through anyway. I just think Amarim's thinking might be, if he plays Ugarte is more quicker across the floor than what Bruno and Casemiro are. So him playing Ugarte might stem the flow a bit more. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
I still think they get through anyway, Tottenham. But I think it'll be less more evident unless if Ugarte plays. I think that's what the manager might be thinking.
100%. Ugarte is a firefighter. He likes to plug up the holes.
Yeah.
The only problem is it takes him time to plug those holes. He's not the most positionally, astute player. So for instance, Busquets or Casemiro in his prime, for instance, the thing that those players have that Ugarte doesn't is they know where to be, and it might be just a difference of like a meter or so, but that's a lifetime on the field, right? And it's because of that, and because Spurs are going to be energetic, that they're going to have the time to play through, which is why I think that regardless of what we play, that Spurs might be able to do a number on us in that regard. But yes, Ugarte is definitely a defensive bonus for us because of his kind of just tenaciousness. People say he's got the dog in him. I mean, his job is just to literally follow the ball whenever they have it, hunt people down. And because another thing Ugarte has, which I'll give him credit for, he's pretty good at ball retention. He's not going to lose the ball in most situations. I know he just lost it in the last game, right? But that's more so because of his actual footballing ability rather than his actual ball retention skills. But
for me, he's not a player that should be starting in the Man United midfield if they're being serious. I think he has his uses. If United are playing against one of the top 6 teams away from home,
yes,
and you need someone, and you want to be a bit more defensive, then he has his uses there. But I think if Man United are being serious, this is a player that is a bench option, or better yet, you just move him on and get someone of better quality that can do a similar job.
Exactly.
That's the ideal,
I also don't like people who say, we should be selling Ugarte or selling Kobe, selling, some of these players as we rightly think that they probably should be at most bench players, right? Because even though they're starting now, they do have qualities that can work. It's just that it's not the qualities that you want every single game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Most of the times, because we're Man United, we should be dominating teams, right? We want to have footballing ability on the pitch, right? We want to have Ahmad playing as many games as he can. We want to have Kobe playing against weaker opposition all the time. And again, because normally we're a Big 6 club, most of the times we're going to be facing worse opposition. So those are the times when a Kobe can come in, or one of the younger talents can come in, or when we get Cunha, right? He would be playing those games, right? But when we're up against, let's say, a PSG, when we're up against a Barcelona, that's when I can understand, having someone like Ugarte there to plug up the holes is very, very important, because he does something that no one else can do in that squad, to that level at least, right? And there's value in keeping players like that.
No, I mean, I agree. I think, the whole Kobe talk about him being moved on, I don't buy that. And again, I think Kobe's not going to be moved on. I think Kobe is struggling because of this system. It's pure. In this system, he's a number 10. In a 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, he's a central midfielder. Because this system here, you need experience in that central of the park. you need mobility, you know, and you need leadership as well. And all three of those things he lacks. So in that sense, just play him higher up the pitch where he can get on the ball and show his quality. But again, this manager just doesn't want to. I mean, 1 minute he'll play him there, and then 1 minute he just revert to playing him back in midfield. And I think with Kobe Mino as well, he looks lost. You know, he looks lost because he's looking at himself thinking, where does he actually figure in this team? You know, and really and truly, you can't really blame him because if I'm him, I'd be thinking the same thing. So, but as I am Titanium says, we're facing a Prem team, and it'll be a different game to our previous oppositions. And this is what I think is going to be the crucial factor, because you know, if I look at the last few games that United have played against Bilbao, Lyon, you know, and Real Sociedad. I mean, the Real Sociedad game and the Lyon game, you know, both teams were down to 10 men, and it would have been interesting to see if they weren't down to 10 men, what really would have happened, because I believe the result's very different. I definitely think against Lyon, if Corentin Tolisso didn't get sent off, Lyon go through. I definitely do think that, you know, and the fact as well that they took off Ryan Cherky as well, which would have, they thought the game was won, but he was someone that's able to keep the ball and buy fouls again, which that was poor managing. And against Athletic Bilbao, again, first leg, the sending off for me was pretty harsh. You know, I think if we're going to give a penalty, I think that's one thing, but to send him off, I thought ruined the game and was a bit harsh. And then, you know, you expect United to just, complete the game, really. But against Tottenham, as I said, Premiership opposition, you know, they're going to be used to the intensity that United are going to try and bring. And if anything, they're more intense anyway. So, yeah, this game's going to be problems for United, in my opinion. But I do think that, if we're being honest, the experience of some of those players should come to the fore, you know. And am I confident that United win the game? I'm not, because again, I have to see the lineup. And again, I think Postecoglou knows that this is his only chance, and he's going to be going all out. The fact that Postecoglou rested his whole team, I think the only player that started that I believe starts in the two players I think that starts for Tottenham is Son and Papa Sarr. And they're the only two that started against Aston Villa. And I believe those two play as well against United. So he's taking this seriously, you know, and why wouldn't he really, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, just gonna go on some of the questions just quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So Shama said Spurs could win a European trophy before Arsenal. Yeah, it's not going to be hard though, is it? Let's be honest. Yeah, I think as I mentioned before, guys, man, the fact that Arteta's still there at Arsenal, and they seem to be, the majority of that fan base seem to be satisfied. Keep him there, man, because next season is going to be the same thing. They're not winning nothing, you know. He hasn't got what it takes to get over the line, you know. So and again, I've never seen a manager. I think it's going to be his sixth season with a trophy that wasn't really his team, you know. And obviously, they have been linked to the likes of Gyökeres and Sesko and a few other players. But for me, for Arsenal, if Arsenal want to go to the next level, they have to go out there and just sign players that will make people just sit up and take notice. Because as I said, you know, there's positions in that team that need to be for them that need to be looked at. But I don't believe they go and do that, because this Arteta, I just don't know what he's thinking is really, because I think in the second season he should have identified what Arsenal really need. And we all know that's a striker. We all know that's a left winger. They need to get another midfield player. You know, they need to get someone that's going to compete with Saka. You know, Ethan Nwaneri for me is a top young player, and for me he needs to think about his future, because for some reason Arteta has just seemed to have sidelined him for the last few games. So yeah, I would say they've got to look at that, man. But could Spurs win the trophy before Arsenal? If I'm being honest, they can. Whether they will or not is obviously we're going to see on Wednesday. You know. So I'm Titanium says, are you talking about Cunha, Gav? Yeah, listen, Matthias Cunha, I think I heard today actually, Exedra, that I think United are at the final stages with Cunha now.
No.
What do you think of the Cunha signing?
I think he'll work quite well. I mean, I had a look at his stats just now before the stream as well. He's secretly been having quite a good season, given that he's on Wolves. But if we talk about pure eye test, right?
Yeah.
I like the player. I like the capabilities he has. He's intelligent. I think the biggest thing for me is I don't want any dumb players on my team anymore. Right? You can tell just the way, for instance, the way Garnacho plays, the way Højlund plays to an extent, that they just don't have the intelligence to be able to work things out on the spot. So when things don't work, and they can pull out those moments of brilliance that we say, right? They don't really have that. The players that do have that, which is why they come up with moments, your Mounts, your Brunos, your Amads, your Cobbies, right? And they don't really have that, I would say, in terms of in that. But Cunha, I think, definitely slots in right into this team, right? It doesn't matter what formation we play, what manager we have. He's going to be our starting 10.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I think I want Cunha or Eze for me. I like both players. But I think again, what's important because both players start. But what's important is that United need to be identifying players not for this system, but for the club.
Yeah.
Because there's no guarantee that this manager's staying. So, I hear a lot of people say, yeah, get Cunha to play on the left 10. But they need to remember, if he does come in, Cunha, it's not to play as a left 10 because this manager is the only manager that's playing this system. And there's no guarantee that he stays. So, that's the first thing I'd say. The other thing I'd say about Cunha is, don't you think it's a bit concerning why there isn't many teams that are in for him? Because he's got a 60 million release clause, and the only other team that I've seen him being linked with is Arsenal. And for me, that's a bit concerning because his release clause is there. And you would think, because I do think Cunha's a very good player, I do. And Man United, for me, him and Eze, as I said, are the two that they have to sign out of one of them. But I just think it's a bit odd how no other teams have come in for him unless he's told his agent to tell the other teams that it's only Man United.
Yeah.
But there's been no other interest is a bit odd for me, What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, that's a weird kind of thing because the thing about interest in players, right? You can never rely on interest to be usually when you think about interest, it's whether it's a lack of interest or when there's everyone going for it, right?
Yeah.
And both things don't really necessarily mean anything because you can have, for instance, players that are, especially this is the case when players that are from another league, everyone wants them, right? But there is just as much of a possibility that signing, doesn't matter who it is, will fail. The same way that players that have no interest, they can also fail. But no one ever talks about, for instance, McAllister, for instance, right?
Yeah.
McAllister for Liverpool, unbelievable. I think he should have been probably one of the midfielders of the season. And I don't think he's ever mentioned in the category. And Liverpool got him for 40 million from a relegation side.
Yeah. I think the reason for someone like McAllister, is if you look at McAllister, he very rarely has a bad game. So a lot of these kind of players get overlooked because it's like the only way they get talked about is if they have a stinker or if they have a man of match performance. But because he's so consistent, people just overlook him. And I think this is the problem, But you're right. He's been very good this season. He's been very good. But again, he won't get the plaudits that other players do. That's the problem. But one question for you though, Exedra. Rodri, Kante, or Casemiro?
Are we talking primes here?
Yeah. Well, it's gamer's question, but I'm guessing, yeah, I'm guessing in their prime. You know what though? You know what I would say. It's kind of tough to compare the three, and I'll tell you why. What actually, no. I think if we look at Rodri and Casemiro at Real Madrid, he was their deepest lying midfielder. The same with Rodri, but Kante at Chelsea, he's been playing in the two. At Leicester, he was playing in the two as well. So I think it's hard to kind of it depends what we're comparing, really.
So how
You know what I
about
mean?
we do it like this, right? Out of all these players, which of these would you pick if you only had to pick one from a team if you wanted to make a team?
Yeah, that's better. Go on, I'll let you answer first.
Honestly, I would take Kante.
Kante, bloody hell.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what's actually weird? He's actually my third choice.
It's good to have
That's
differences.
weird. Yeah. I'm gonna say it's tough, you know. You know, I'm gonna say Rodri. And I tell you why I'll say Rodri is because of the way that I like to see football played. And I think out of the three players, he gives me that best opportunity. Because let's not get it twisted. Casemiro is, as we know, one of the greats, yeah.
100%.
And the thing is, sorry, bear me 1 minute.
Yeah.
I want that falling off there. Yeah. So for me, Casemiro is one of the greats and is a leader. You know, in the big games he shows up. But I'm looking at purely from someone that's gonna step me on my way to playing good football, and I think Rodri does that more than the other two. You know,
I was looking at it more from the angle of which one of these players will allow me to play the most, like, give me the most possibilities. And I think someone like Kante, the qualities that he has, you don't find them. You don't find them in players. And in a way, you could say the prime of his career was, he's one of the few players, I think, Kante. I know we talk about he always played in the two and stuff. But honestly, Gav, I think he's one of the few players like Vieira who could play solo midfield just by himself.
Yeah. No. Listen, I think Kante is, you know what I mean. I think you can't doubt Kante. I as I said, I think the style of player that he was, you know, I mean, he would work well with a pure player that is just of pure quality, you know, where he's the ball winner, and then they're like Pogba, for instance. Yeah, exactly. He works well with that. But I'm looking at the formation that I would play, because if I'm playing a DM, for me it's Busquets. It's Rodri. If I'm playing a 4-2-3-1 where I need two midfielders, I would possibly pick Rodri and Casemiro together. Probably, yeah. Because I'll tell you why. Because Casemiro is a goal threat, and I think he's more of a goal threat from midfield than what Kante is. But in Kante,
isn't it weird? I don't actually rate Rodri as highly. He's an incredible player. Don't get me wrong.
I think he's the closest to Busquets for me.
Oh yeah. The way he plays, yeah, definitely. But I feel like the other guys just have so much to their game that if I was to pick a person blind without picking any other person on the 11, and I was asked, okay, who's going to be your CDM that you would want out of these three without knowing the formation or knowing the other players you want? Yeah, that's why I'd pick Kante, because I think he allows you to do so much more. Whereas Rodri, he might be, you know, the Rolls Royce and that kind of in this era in terms of the Busquets role, right? He might be the best in terms of ball retention, never losing it, making the right pass, all those sorts of things. So it really depends on kind of, you know, what you view a CDM either really to be, and what you want out of the team, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the thing. When you talk about these players, right, these world-class players, there's so little separating them. It ends up becoming which style you want to play
Yeah,
or
it's
what
preference, isn't it?
styles you
Yeah,
want. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
it's preference. Yeah, yeah. As I said, I think in these kind of things, there's no wrong or right answer. It's just what you prefer in your team. And for me, I like the Busquets, the Marco Verratti's, the Thiago Alcantaras.
Oh
These are
yeah.
real football players for me. So I look at that three, and the one I lean more to is Rodri for me. But
Mm.
that's not saying Casemiro and Kante, because again, these guys are generation players in their position. So as I said, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just what you prefer basically. But yeah, I'm gonna say Rodri, and Exedra's gone for Kante.
Kante.
Guys, let us know what you think. Rodri, Kante, or Casemiro. Great question from Gamer, Reluctant Gamer. Let us know what you think, guys. What player would you go with? Again, there's no right or wrong answer. So Shama says the question should have been Makaleli, Essien, or Kante. Again, I think you can't really compare Makaleli, because Makaleli was a pure DM. I think Kante's more or less, because Kante's never played as a lone DM. So you can't, and neither is Essien. So comparing Kante and Essien, you can do, but I wouldn't put Makaleli in there, Sham. But big up, man. Anyway, guys, we're gonna move on anyway, because obviously I want to get to one of the things that we're gonna do at the end, the Premier League season. But we're gonna move on to the Champions League final coming up between PSG and Inter Milan. So Exedra, first off, who do you think's gonna win this final?
See, my brain is telling me, Inter should be winning this primarily because the experience, because Inzaghi, the way he coaches, right? He can flip it on, in a moment. But just looking at the players, the way they play, PSG have been the best team in the Champions League this year. So I would have to probably give it Inter favor, primarily because of the experience and the way Inzaghi plays and the way he manages games. So definitely Inter should be favored here. But PSG, especially with Kvaratskhelia in that wing, they're dangerous. But again, with PSG, they do leak some goals, right? And I don't know if they're going to be able to handle Inter for the full length of the game and keep them out. So yeah, I'd have to give it to Inter.
Right. See, I'm gonna say PSG. I think, as you mentioned about Inzaghi, the way he sets them up, and Inter are just, because Inter was my dark horses for the tournament. I had Barca to win it, but I said the dark horses will be Inter, because there's just something about Inter that they just get the job done. And again, it's the experience. Their defense don't really give away too much. If you look at their strike force, Lautaro Martinez and Marcus Thuram, you would say that, they're not the two greatest players, in the world, but I think their combination works. And again, if you look at Inter Milan, and especially where Lautaro, his partnerships, you look at Lukaku he played with, I think it was it Eden, was not Eden Dzeko, who's the other one he played with? Lukaku and someone else. Who was after Lukaku? So there was someone else.
I can't remember.
I think there was, I can't remember. Yeah, obviously Marcus Thuram now, but I'm pretty sure there was someone after Lukaku left. But again, that seems to work well with him, because it's like the big man, little man conundrum, really. And they will be a threat because physically, they're strong as well, both Lautaro and Marcus Thuram. So they will cause problems. But I just think that with PSG, I think it's their time, and the one thing PSG don't have consistently is that player that puts the ball in the back of the net. But they've got three players up there in Ousmane Dembele, Kvaratskhelia, and whether it's Doué or Barcola, you know, they're all interchangeable and they will all cause their own threats in their own way, you know. But I think that midfield three of Vitinha, Fabian Ruiz, and João
what a
Neves.
midfield. I mean, honestly, the
It's the
midfield
balance, man.
building that Luis Enrique has made, it's unbelievable. Like three absolute ballers. I love watching them play.
And this is why he got rid of Ugarte. And Man United were dumb enough to pay whatever they paid for him because
I think 65 million euros or something.
Well, listen, let's just stop talking about that because I don't even want to hear that. You know, Let's just say it was 20 mil, yeah, just for our peace of mind, because I cannot believe they spent that amount on Ugarte, and PSG have definitely done United over on that one. But that midfield balance, you know, and I think Fabian Ruiz doesn't get the credit he deserves because, I mean, he's a top player, man. And again, he's a Spanish international. He starts for Spain as well. And I think that midfield three up against Barella, you're thinking Çalhanoğlu and Mkhitaryan. I think if PSG get hold of that midfield, I think that will see them over the line. And I think what Inter showed, because I still believe Barca should have won that game against Inter in the second leg. I think Barca were naive. You know, I think they just gave the game away really with that high line. I think PSG have the capabilities of playing that high line, but they've got the likes of Nuno Mendes and Hakimi are two of the quickest fullbacks in the game. So they'll cope with the pace, no problem. And again, what a battle that's going to be. Nuno Mendes up against Denzel Dumfries. You know, Dumfries will be bombing on. And I just think that they'll have too much for Inter, you know, in the end, you know. So yeah, I'm gonna say PSG, man, definitely. But if Inter Milan wants to win the game, I wouldn't be surprised because, you know, they are capable. But I think PSG this season, as you said, they've been the most consistent team, the best team. And to think that they were in danger of not qualifying as well, they could go on ahead and win the whole thing, man. So yeah, I think PSG, man, for sure. Yeah. So Sham says PSG went up another level after they bought Kvaratskhelia. Yeah, they have, man, 100%. I think the Kvaratskhelia one's weird because I didn't see them getting him. Like I didn't really see why that would make sense in regards, because if you remember as well, Barcola was arguably their player of the season, their most potent goal scorer before Kvaratskhelia came in. And it's safe to say now that Barcola is probably fourth choice now, which is mad. So I think Barcola could be wrong, but he might still be one of their top scorers.
Yeah. Did you watch Barcola a lot, Gav, last season?
I did. You know what it is with Barcola, yeah? This is the problem for me within football right now, is that there's too many of these wide players that are very similar, you know? So down, a lot of pace, but very little end product. And these are the kind of players that I don't really rate as much, you know? But I think start of the season, he looked promising, but I think where he has to look at himself now is that he's obviously Kvaratskhelia has come in, who's a better player, but he's now been overtaken by Doué. So yeah, it's mad. I mean, what do you think of him? Do you think he's good?
Out of the style of wingers that he kind of falls into, I think he's one of the better ones. But again, you know, if I was ever to, you know, pick and choose between him and Kvaratskhelia, and this is, I guess, why Luis Enrique wanted him, was you'd pick Kvaratskhelia every single day, because just as the footballing ability, and the thing that people don't measure enough is with Kvara, his dribbling, his close control, right, alongside his, you know, pace. Yes, it's not, you know, fastest in the world and stuff, but it's enough for a winger, right? Yeah. And all those kind of assets kind of combined, that allows him to do a lot more than Barcola is very good at what he does, don't get me wrong. But in the middle of a game, that flexibility, that, you know, a flash of brilliance and stuff. That's why Kvaratskhelia was brought in, right? And I guess the way Enrique kind of sees the game, he valued that attacker, because they didn't really have that attacker in their squad before him.
Yeah, nah. I mean, I think it's more of a case because with Kvaratskhelia, you know, I didn't really see PSG not playing with a recognised striker. I think that's what's kind of surprised me more than anything. You know, to think that Dembele is playing as the more central one. You know, again, I never saw that coming. But this is why Enrique for me is a top manager, because you know he's thinking outside the box, and to have more or less three wide players all in one lineup, and it works. You know, and again, bringing in Kvaratskhelia again, who's very good in 1v1. You know, yeah, it's a masterstroke, and I think they didn't pay too much money for him either.
I think they paid a fair bit. I think it was
You know,
60 to 70
if I'm
euros.
right, we like 40 mil or something.
No, they definitely paid a pretty penny for him. I think it was 60 to 70. I might be wrong here, but if I remember, it was 60 to 70 for Kvara.
Right, okay. Guys, if you know, man, if you know how much Kvaratskhelia cost, man, put it in the chat. Because you know what, I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure he didn't go for that much, you know.
Because... No, there's no way Napoli let him go for a 40 though. Napoli are absolute, you know, masters when it comes to the transfer business. There's no way they let him go for 40. There's no way.
But because from what I remember though, because I remember saying to myself, why was there no other clubs interested in him for that price? But I think it's because he gave PSG, yeah, there we go, 59 million. Okay, so yes,
but it's pounds, million. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, fair enough then. But I was thinking, why is no one else coming for him? But I think he gave his word to PSG. So
exactly. I mean, Eastern European players are like this, by the way, where they are honest to a fault. So, I mean, that's just, you know, that culture as well, where once they give their word, they're not backing down on it. So, again, very well done by PSG in terms of the way they've kind of restructured their team from where they were. But yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you have, you know, a coach who knows what he's doing and a sporting director who's willing to, you know, work with him and see what's out there, right?
Yeah. Man, what a deal that was, because he's definitely one of the best wide players right now in the game, without doubt. Yeah, I think Sham said so. Liverpool wanted to 100 mil. What? Napoli wanted 100 mil for him. Bloody hell.
It's Napoli, man.
Yeah,
they Italian nuns.
They don't mess around. But yeah. What's this? Why transfers mainly denominated and spoken about in euros? Yeah, I don't know really, but I mean that's mainly a
because most of the leagues and most of the countries use euros. Yeah, because again, if we talk about it in pounds, we're thinking about it more from an English side of things, right? So usually using euros is a lot easier because a lot of people can find the conversion pretty easy, right, compared to the other currencies.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I hear that. Let's go through some of the chat. So, see if I missed anything.
Make sure you put your questions in the chat as well, guys, if you have anything you wanted to ask and stuff. But yeah,
listen, big up yourself, everyone, for coming through. But yeah, put your questions in, guys. And again, don't forget to smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel as well. Right, guys, let's move on then. Premier League season. So what we're gonna do, and guys, again, make sure you put your chat in. You know, see if you agree with us or if you don't. So we're gonna go through the Premier League season. So we're gonna go through the team of the season, and we're gonna do it based in a 4-2-3-1 formation. So we're gonna have to agree on what players go where and who's in the team. So, bro, what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen.
Yep.
Just bear me 1 minute.
This is going to be interesting because we've disagreed on quite a lot now. So,
but this is what it's about, man. Yeah, it's what it's about, because obviously, if you see the stream the other day with Declan Rice getting there, and what's the chance of Declan Rice scoring yesterday as well? Can you see my screen or not?
Yeah,
no?
I can.
You can see it, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Spare me 1 minute. Let me just. Where is it? One second.
Just so you know, I spent only about 30 minutes before the stream kind of thinking about going through the list of players in every single team and going like, oh, you know what? I like that guy. I like that guy. So let's see how this kind of manifests itself.
Yeah, to be fair, it's a difficult one because I think there's some players that deserve to be in there that won't be included.
As you know, also I'm pretty biased in certain things. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, there are some players that are, I think, shoe-ins, but there are a lot of positions, especially because, I mean, honestly, no one's really enjoyed watching the Prem this season.
Yeah, right? I think in terms of quality, yeah, it's been shocking, really. If I'm honest,
it's been real bad.
It's been shocking. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into it anyway. So obviously 4-2-3-1 formation. Who are we going to go for the keeper?
Keeper. Yeah. I mean, there's a few picks you can take. I think Raya's been, even though he's had mistakes, he's had a pretty decent season. Yeah. I think Alisson, peerless, but he's had a bit of an off season compared to his usual standards. When he's usually, on form, he's the best keeper in the world. So I think based off of that,
I think it's quite tough, this one, because I actually don't know.
It's got to be Raya.
You think David Raya?
I think it has to be Raya. I don't like it, but probably then.
I'm trying to think. What about what's his name again? What about Brentford's keeper, Mark Flecken? I think wasn't there something saying that he's made the most saves this season or something?
Maybe, but again, Brentford as a team is weird, I think, and in terms of the actual differential, which is what I use, right? I think Raya's up there. I think Alisson's up there. Edison's always going to be up there, but Edison's had a worse season than usual. So again, in general, the quality is kind of going down. So, and if you look at the top teams anyway, are you really looking at a lot of the keepers? Like, you got Pope, you got Edison, you got Matt Sells. So
I think he's had a good season. To be fair, Matt Sells, I think he's been good.
Yeah, Matt Sells has a shout.
Yeah. So, right, who are we going to say then?
Honestly, I mean, this is a bit of you could say this is a bit bad analysis, but I think it's probably got to be either Alisson because of the season they've had, because they've walked away with this league, right? And they can't do that when there's any chinks in the armor.
Yeah.
So I think either you pick Alisson or you pick Raya. But I think Alisson, from his normal standards, has been a little bit down. So for that reason, I'd say for the Prem season purely, not for anything else, I think Raya's done very well.
You think Raya, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, to be fair, I mean, if we're basing it on the season, not on who's the better keeper, we're gonna say David Raya, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, I'm happy to go with that. Cool. So David Raya's in there. Right back.
Right back. So let me have a look at my list.
What are you going for right back?
Ooh. So the thing is, in terms of fullbacks, I haven't really been impressed this season. I mean, there's a few standouts, but again, when you think of olden days team of the season, you think of players who perform day in, day out, always at least 7 out of 10s, that sort of thing. So in terms of right back, I mean, there's a few shouts, but I'd personally, I mean, I'll talk about my fullbacks in general, right? I personally go Cucurella and Livramento.
Ooh, Cucurella, Livramento.
Yeah.
Do you know what? For me, I like Livramento, but I'm gonna. So if we're getting right back, I think Livramento definitely deserves a shout in there. But something's telling me Mazraoui.
As a right back.
Obviously, I know different system that he's been playing, but I think he deserves a mention because of how consistent he's been this season. I don't think people are deep in it how good he's been this season. Mazraoui.
That is true. That is true.
You know, because if I look at Arsenal, you got Urian Timber. You know, he deserves a shout. But I think Mazraoui's been every bit as good as him. Trent, I don't think Trent's been that. I think Trent's been okay, but has he been a standout right back? I don't think so. Obviously, Reece James is the best right back in the game for me when he's fit, but obviously it's when he's fit.
Yeah.
I don't know really. I think Mazraoui, Gamer and DXR think Livramento.
Yeah. See, the reason is because even though I agree Maz has a fantastic season, and I'm amazed he's been able to play so many minutes because of his injury record and stuff, and being United fans, you know, I mean, give me a reason to put a United player and I'd do it. But with Maz and the way he's played, right?
Yeah.
And putting him as a left or right back when we haven't really seen that kind of, because when you think left right backs, you think as well they have to provide some attacking threat, right? Or something along those lines. And I don't think whether it's the system or how the manager's set up or the players around him and stuff, I don't think Mazraoui has shown as much effectiveness as Livramento has this season. And I think Livramento is going to be one of the unsung heroes of Newcastle in terms of all the other players that get mentioned ahead of him. I think he's one of the, you know, he's a great talent. And, you know, the time that Newcastle bought him, I knew that, you know, everyone else had kind of missed out. I knew there was a player there. And, you know, I think the performances Newcastle's had, a lot of them are due to the defensive solidity that Livramento provides. So I think I think it has to be Livramento, unfortunately.
I think to be fair, the fact that he obviously he does play left back as well. To be fair, he's had a very good season. I'm just thinking, is there anyone else that we could make a case for?
I mean, you got. I mean, if you talk Liverpool,
to be fair, everyone's saying Livramento. To be fair,
I mean, that's the thing. The problem is there's not many great, even left backs, right backs, and the wings as well. It's going to be very hard to choose one of them. I mean, maybe you can just shoe in Mo Salah for one of them, but those positions are very, very, you know, strange to kind of give anyone else to. So I think for this season, I think it's fair to give it to Livramento.
All right, cool. I'm gonna go with Livramento then. I think everyone's saying Livramento personally. I'll be honest, I didn't really have him down as being the right back.
Yeah.
But if you guys think it's Livramento, I'm happy to go with that, man. So Livramento as the right back, yeah?
Yep.
Cool. And we'll go to the other side, left back.
This is more interesting, this one though, left back.
I'm trying to think, has there been many good left backs this season? Oh, whoa. I mean, you got Milos Kerkez.
Yeah.
Who else we got there? Yadoji. Hasn't been
I think
great.
Simicast plays on the left, is that right?
Yeah, Simicast, but Robertson's been playing a lot more than him, hasn't he?
Yeah. Is Ait-Nouri, I think, plays on the left?
Cucurella?
Yeah, exactly. Cucurella's my pick.
Ryan Ait-Nouri as well, yep.
Yeah. But I would pick Cucurella. I think Chelsea are nowhere near the top without Cucurella on that team. He's been unbelievable, in my opinion.
Yes, he has. You're not picking him because he's got long hair like you, are you?
Honestly, nah. I mean, he's a bit of a meme pick, but in terms of performances on the pitch, he's been instrumental. And you know what? I didn't like him at first because he's a bit of a bastard, you could say, on the pitch, and he dives and all that stuff, typical Spanish. But he's been amazing this season. And
let's not forget as well, Cucurella is formerly of Barcelona as well.
He is.
Yeah, him and Grimaldo both come from Barca's youth system.
Oh yeah.
Cucurella. What? Not Kirkes, no, not Aït-Nouri.
They have a shout, but I think because of the impact Cucurella has had for Chelsea this season, I don't think you can put anyone else ahead of him. He's just been insane for them, I think. I think he's is he not didn't he outscore all of their wingers and forwards?
What Chelsea's?
For Chelsea's, yeah.
Well, if he has done that, then he definitely has to go in there. I mean, I'm not too sure, but to be fair, some of the games I've watched Chelsea, he always does seem to come up with something, whether it's a goal or an assist. So, I like Aït-Nouri though, man. I think Aït-Nouri is one of the best left backs in the league, and he's someone that definitely can go and play for the top 4, top 6 sides. Kirkes has been good. Who else is there?
Again, there's not many.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of all the teams in the league.
I mean, this is what I did. I went on transfer market and I literally
Lewis Skelly.
No, he's not played enough.
I hear that one. Who else is there? There must be some other players. Must be someone else.
I'm telling you, Gav, it's these positions they're difficult. Yeah. But I would say I think most of the people would agree. It's got to be Cucurella or Kirkes, and I think Cucurella is better. The impact he's had.
Let's ask the chat, guys. What do you reckon? Cucurella for left back then? Team of the season. Give us a thumbs up if you think Cucurella should be as the left back. I mean, I'm happy to put him in. I'm just trying to think if there's anyone else that can at least be in the argument. So DXR thinks Cucurella.
I think Sham said Kirkes as well.
He said Kirkes.
But he says Cucurella is a good shout as well. So
I think he has been very consistent, to be fair, this season.
Yeah. I would say it's Cucurella.
Yeah, Sham's gone for Cucurella. Okay. Gamer, what do you reckon? Cucurella? Let's see. If Gamer says Cucurella, then we'll have to put him in.
But I just think Chelsea are nowhere near the top if Cucurella isn't as good as he is.
What about him?
Him and Caicedo have been monsters for him.
Yeah. All right, Cucurella it is then. We'll go for Cucurella.
Yeah.
We'll go Cucurella. So Cucurella, Livramento. Okay, so far we've got David Raya in goal, Cucurella left back, Tino Livramento as the right back. Right, moving on to centre back pairing. Now, I think this is going to be interesting because I think let's just save the noise now because I think he's definitely going to be in there, and I'm happy to put him in there. Virgil van Dijk.
Okay, so I'm going to be a bit.
The fact you're thinking, I'm surprised. I thought you would have said yeah.
I want to put Konate ahead of him. I think Konate is a monster, bro.
I'm glad you said
been
that.
Amazing.
I'm glad you've said that because I was thinking Konate, but the obvious one was Van Dijk, yeah. And I think he gets overlooked because it's Van Dijk's name. But I think without Konate alongside Van Dijk, I don't think Van Dijk's the same.
Exactly.
Konate,
because Konate has functioned even without Van Dijk, but Van Dijk looks so much better with Konate with him. So honestly, out of them two, I would pick Kanate first.
Kanate. So what are we going to do? Are we going to go with a centre-back pairing, or are we just going to go with...
Well, we
from
could
each
do a
team?
pairing, but I think it's more interesting if we allow ourselves to kind of,
Because I've got two in mind. Because I'm thinking Gabriel from Arsenal.
I was gonna say the same thing. Yep,
Yeah,
Gabriel
I'm thinking
Kanate was gonna
Gabriel.
be my turn.
All right, let's put Gabriel in there then. Let's put him in there. Because you know what, as well, yeah, I like left-footed centre backs to play with a right footer. So let's put Gabriel in there. And guys, we're not saying Gabriel's better than Van Dijk, by the way, but I think for balance and the season he's had, I think it's right to put him in there. Saliba's had a good season, but not as good as Gabriel for me. So we're looking at Konate, Van Dijk. Who else is there? Dean Huijsen?
No, they're just not better than one of the Liverpool defenders, unfortunately. I mean, I looked at quite a few of them. Like you've got, what was it? I mean, obviously Saliba, you've got Huijsen and that sort of thing. But Huijsen's got a lot of, noise around him now, so everyone's going to start putting it in. But no one talks about Konate, and that's why I wanted to always put him in first.
I'm glad you said Konate because I was gonna say him and Van Dijk. But the fact that you said Konate should be talked about more, and I understand. I understand because he's overlooked.
So DX has also said Botman, but
Sven Botman? Nah, no way. I think Gamer will even tell you that Botman hasn't really featured that much. No Botman for me, man. I'm trying to think who else is there. I like Mickey van der Ven, but again, he's left-footed as well. And Gabriel's there, and he's been out injured as well. Man United, I mean Lenny Yoro, but De Ligt as well. I mean De Ligt deserves a shout, but he's been injured for a bit of it as well.
The unfortunate thing is because of the horrific season, everything that we say about these players, especially from those that have finished in the top position, are going to be like, oh, but look at their league position. Surely they must have had something to do with that, right?
Yeah,
so
100%.
It always gets discounted against them, which I don't think it should if you talk about pure ability. But again, at the end of the day, it's all about the performances, and obviously winning and losing is part of the performances. So based on that, it's got to be either, I would say, Van Dijk or Konate.
What about, I got one player that I want to mention. I just lost my... Oh, what about Ezri Konsa from Aston Villa?
Oh, that's a good shout too. He's had a good season.
I think he's underrated, I think he's very underrated.
Oh, yeah. 100%. I mean, Aston Villa as a team has been quite underrated, right? Nobody really talks about him a lot. I mean, a few times people talk saying, oh, Morgan Rogers because of that game he's had and stuff. But after that, no one really talks about, just the way the job that Emery has done, that back line, being able to fit in a lot of bring in Asensio and stuff. But yeah, I don't think, again, they've won the league so easily, Liverpool, right? So unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of them in this team.
Yeah.
That's just how it is, unfortunately, I think.
Well, the fact that we've got no Liverpool player in there at the moment.
The choices, though, do you put Van Dijk or do you put Konate? That's going to be hard.
This is what I'm debating: Van Dijk or Konate. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna leave it down to the chat as well. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna say Konate. Yeah. Who you going for? Konate as well? Yeah.
Ooh, it's hard.
DXR said Van Dijk, so that's 2-1. Yeah. So we'll leave it down to a vote. So Gamer and Sham, let us know what you think: Van Dijk or Konate, and then we'll put either player in.
Well, Sham said Van Dijk. I think he's going to say Van Dijk. So it's up to Gamer, really. What does Gamer say?
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sham, let us know what you think. And Gamer, let us know what you think: Van Dijk or Konate. So it's 2-1 at the moment. So Gamer says I'm Okay, so he said Van Dijk. So that's 2-2. So it's down to Sham. Sham, who you going for? Van Dijk or Konate? Sham says Van Dijk. All right, Van Dijk it is then.
Van Dijk it is.
You know what? But big up to Konate, man, because he's had a great season. And again, I wouldn't have mind putting Konate in there, but to be fair, I think Van Dijk does deserve to be in there, really, because...
I mean, honestly, another thing we can do, by the way, Gav, considering that most of the players this season, right, like there's not a great number of attackers. So we could also make it so that the best formation or the best team this season actually is a 5 at the back. Because the best players in this season have been defenders. Van Dijk, Konate, Gabriel, Livramento, Cucurella.
Yeah. But the only thing is, I mean, I think what you think the formation should actually change, you reckon?
Well, the way I usually do team of the season, right? I do it independent of the formation, because then when you stick yourself or you stick to going 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 when you do team of the seasons, you lose out on players that might actually be better than, you know, some of the other players that are on there, but they're just put there because there's nobody else. You know what I mean? And we're going to get to that, but especially when we talk about tens.
But the thing is though, yeah, from what I'm looking at right now, yeah, the formation that we've got, I think I have a case to say there's a player that deserves to be in every position.
Ooh, yeah, you can say
That's
that.
what I would say. Yeah, I think the only position I would say that I'm not 100% certain is the left wing.
Interesting.
But everywhere else, there's for me, there's no debate on who should be there, really.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, we can talk about that when we fill the rest of the positions in, right?
Yeah.
Where if we want to do that or not. So yeah, let's continue. It's fine.
All right. So I'm just gonna put him in now anyway, because I don't want to hear no debate. Yeah. So that central midfield position, I think you know where I'm going with this as well.
Thinking Caicedo?
Yeah. There we go. How this guy was overlooked for player of the season is a mystery, you know. And I think against United the other night, he wasn't. And I think Shams more or less, he's more or less just. It's like he's in my mind, man, because this is the combination that I was looking at, you know. But there is a few other players I want to mention as well. But for me, Caicedo the other night, he wasn't at his best against United, but he was head and shoulders the best player on that pitch, you know. And just showed his quality, man. So as I said, man, he for me is definitely one of the players of the season, and how he wasn't nominated is shocking. So for me, he's in there. I don't care what anyone says. You know, it's a conversation I'm not willing to entertain. You know, so
yeah. I mean, I agree. I would have Caicedo in there, 100%.
Who's the partner? Are you gonna listen to Sham, or is there anyone else you think?
See, this is what I'm interested in with Sham about, because I think McAllister is better than Gravenberch.
Oh, McAllister.
Yeah, I think the season McAllister has had and the quality of player he is. Yeah. Right. I think McAllister. I don't understand why people don't put him in teams of the season enough. Because Gravenberch is like the spicy name, right? But in terms of the whole season and consistency, McAllister has been world class.
You know what though? Do you think that people will say Gravenberch ahead of McAllister because Gravenberch wasn't playing under Klopp, and it's a case where because he's now coming to the team, it's like a shiny new toy kind of thing? Do you think that's what it is?
Yeah, it could be. It's also because it's a, you know, with McAllister, he came up from the Championship, right? And with, you know, players that play for in England for a long time, they're not rated as highly. When, you know, a foreign player comes in, it's like, oh, you know, is something special. But I know, Sham, that you say that he's not as a number 6 in mid-class, but that's why I want to put him in here, because Caicedo can cover for him as a number 6 as well. So I think McAllister's actually a better shout.
You know what though? He's made a good point there, actually, Sham, because this formation here, it is 2 6s. when you think about it. Yeah. So I know it's going to sound a bit bad, but it has to be a 6 really from what he's saying. So to be fair, he's made a good point because that position is 2 6s, and Gravenberch has been playing as a 6. I mean, Sandro Tonali,
Yeah,
Yuri
was,
Tillemans. Huh?
I wanted to put Tonali in there, but no. I mean, I can't put him ahead of McAllister. I love Tonali. I love him.
All right, well, let's just make this easier then, yeah, because the names we've got in there. Obviously, people are going to say Declan Rice, but I'm letting you know now he's not in there.
He's not in there. No way.
So it's between Tonali, Tillemans, McAllister, Gravenberch. So I'm gonna say Gravenberch. I'll say Gravenberch as well because he was the one I was going for, Gravenberch and Caicedo. So I'm gonna say Gravenberch. Sham wants McAllister. DXR, who are you gonna say? DXR, Sham, and Gamer. Who are you going for? What we'll do, we'll put it down to a vote. Guys, anyone else that thinks it should be someone else, let us know. We're going to put it down to a vote.
Yeah, I mean, Sham, Caicedo's done it all season. He's just a monster of a player. Defensively and defensively, he can provide. But his speciality is defensively. So, yes, Caicedo can cover, which is why I say McAllister is the one. And I think McAllister has also had the much more consistent season.
Yeah, I think he's been good, man. There's no denying that. There's no denying that. As I said, I don't mind McAllister being in there, but I'm going to go with my original selection of Gravenberch. And I think some people are saying Declan Rice needs to. DXR said Declan Rice needs to go in there. I mean, guys, let us know. So, okay, so DXR is going Gravenberch. So that's 2 for Gravenberch. Sham's saying Gravenberch.
I know it's Sham. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Sham says Gravenberch. Everyone's going Gravenberch, but Gamer, of course, Tonali.
Yeah, no surprise there, is there?
I mean, how Newcastle have got Tonali? I am so jealous. I am so
top player, man.
How?
Top player.
I'm so mad at every single other club, including my own, for not going for Tonali, not even knowing that he was available.
Yeah, and don't forget as well, United were linked to him when he was at Brescia before he went to AC Milan.
We're always linked with these players.
Yeah. Oh, Bruno Guimaraes as well, but he ain't better than Tonali for me. Guimaraes, he's not.
He's not.
Yeah, Nathan says Rice, but he's not in the chat. Yeah, listen, I think Nathan will say Rice twice, man. To be honest, Sham, you know, yeah, Rice ain't for me, man. To be fair, his goal yesterday was very good, but right. Listen, we'll put it down to a vote, yeah. So I think, sorry, Exedra, man, but it's gonna have to be Gravenberch. It's gonna have to be Gravenberch, Ryan Gravenberch.
I understand.
But again, man, big up to McAllister because again, McAllister had a very good season, and I think how we can, as I said earlier, McAllister's so consistent is that, you know, he gets overlooked, but that just shows how good he is, really. You know,
100%. I mean, I said it while I was talking about him. McAllister's world class. He goes into any team, whereas I don't think I can say the same about Gravenberch. But McAllister,
you think he goes into that Barcelona midfield?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think again, yeah.
What, De Jong, Pedri, and McAllister? Yeah.
Yeah, I think he can do. I think he can do De Jong's job, but better because he doesn't. He's not as even though De Jong's a little bit more mobile, and I like De Jong as a player. I think the solidity you get with McAllister, Barcelona would not ship as many goals with McAllister on that
team. Yeah, not a bad shot, man. Like, do you know what? I didn't realize you rated him that highly. You know, I do think he's good. And to be fair, yeah, he does deserve a shout out, man. But yeah, we've got Gravenberch and Caicedo in there, which, as I say, I think you know, it's fair enough. But to be fair, it could be Tonali, it could be obviously Yuri Tillemans,
could be Tillemans, could be a lot of players. Yeah,
trying to think, is it anyone else that's been good? Um, I think
Stand
Christian
out, no.
is that.
In terms of standout central midfielders, no, not
What
standout,
do
but
you
there
think
are
of
plenty of good.
Christian Norgard for Brentford? I mean, he's not been a standout, but he's consistent as well.
He is consistent, but again, it's one of those things where I think, especially, I mean, did Norgard play against us when in that 4-3, or was he subbed off or something like that?
4-3. When was that? What, this season?
This season, or was that another team? I'm pretty sure it was Brentford. No, yeah,
Oh yeah.
Brentford hit us 4-3.
He scored. I think he scored. I swear he scored.
I'm just thinking central midfielder. You'd want to have some element of defense to your game, and any team that concedes 3 against us, you gotta kind of
Yeah,
look at it
you got
side
to be
eye.
questioning. You got to be questioning yourself. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Yuri Tillemans as well. Who else is there? Was someone else I had in my mind as well, actually. Oh, obviously we can't put him in, but Romeo Lavia for me, if he stays fit, that combination with him and Caicedo, I think that's probably the best pairing in the league as a combination. So
that and Liverpool's 100%.
That and Liverpool's, yeah. I think that there will be those two there, and obviously there's no Rodri's been out for the season. Gundogan obviously is a year older, is dropping off. But yeah, them guys worth a mention anyway. But yeah, moving on. Where should we go? Should we go out wide or go to number 10?
I mean, let's do wide first because obviously one of them is a shoe-in, just because of the numbers.
Right. Reluctantly, we're gonna have to put in Mo Salah, aren't we? Really?
100%.
Yeah. I think, to be fair, with the numbers he's got,
yeah, he's got to be doing something right with the numbers he's got. Even if we don't rate certain aspects of his game, just the level. You can't be that prolific without being very, very good at what you do, right? So
yeah, he's a goal scorer, isn't it? We know that. Yeah, he's a goal scorer, man. As I say, as a footballer, he's not my cup of tea, really. But there's no denying this guy just scores goals after goals, And again, they're playing Brighton tonight, and he's 2 goals off of 2 GA off breaking the record. So yeah, man, I think there's no argument there. I think if we look at wide players this season who deserves a mention, I don't think there's very many. I mean, we look at Arsenal. I mean, Saka probably deserves a mention.
But Saka's been injured a lot of the season, hasn't he?
Been injured as well, yeah. Who else is there that deserves a mention? I'm trying to think.
Again, in terms of attacking quality, the league is dead.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I just thought of someone actually for that left-hand side. I'll probably get in there. I didn't really think of him, but he'll probably get in there. But we'll come to that after.
Okay.
Who else is there? I'm trying to think. Obviously, Cole Palmer plays in the 10 and hasn't been that great this season either. Madueke, Neto, poor.
Again, there's not a lot. There's not a lot.
Yeah, there's not. Let me see the Premier League teams. See if I can jog my memory.
And yeah, DXR Sham, I agree. Saka could have been in with a shout, but again, he hasn't played as many games. And I think Saka's kind of dropped off from where he was last season as well. That's another thing to take into account.
Yeah.
And Salah's just had a monstrous season, unfortunately. And given the fact that, Liverpool have won with such ease, and in general, the quality of the league has been so bad, you're looking for scraps after like the top 3 or 4.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I don't know how I forgot him. Brian Mbeumo.
Yeah, I mean, Mbeumo's in with a shout, but he can't be more than Salah. That's the problem.
Okay, I think it's worth giving a shout to them then. So you got Mbeumo, you got Anthony Elanga, who I don't rate highly, but I think he's had a decent season. Semenyo, Ismail Assar. and probably about it, really, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could maybe try and put Wissa in there, but again, they don't
Do you know
compete
what?
with.
Yeah, but he's obviously a striker, but he's going to be one of the ones I'm going to mention. So, um, but yeah, I think Salah is the outstanding one. Let's be honest.
Exactly.
There's no argument for me really on that one. Should we go left side?
Yeah, let's go left side.
So the one for me, who I was thinking, Matthias Cunha.
Oh, jeez.
You was thinking that as well, yeah?
I was thinking that as well, because here's the thing with the left-hand side, right? This left-hand side, I mean, I was looking through every single team, and I was just thinking, I'm not impressed.
Yeah.
And then you end up with players like, your Palmers, your João Pedros, your Cunhas, that sort of thing. And who do you choose? And out of João Pedro, Cunha's actually had the better season.
Yeah.
Even though Brighton's been higher up the table.
I'm just going through the league table now, yeah, and literally, I mean, I think he's probably more on the right hand side, but I think it's worth giving a shout out to someone like Mohamed Kudus as well, who I think is a top player. Jared Bowen.
Wouldn't you have more of the 10 if you wanted to put Kudus?
Well, I'm looking at where they've been playing this season, so he's been playing more in the 2 with Jared Bowen. But yeah, Kudus is a 10 on the right. He's very adaptable. But I like inverted. I like having the right foot on the left foot on the right. So purely for that reason, I wouldn't look at him on that side.
You like the 5 lanes, yeah, with wingers inverting and then the wing backs providing the width.
Bombing on, exactly. This is why I want United to play. But just get better players in them positions. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think Cunha for me, he's the only one I'm looking at on this Premier League. I'm looking at all the teams. I look at Liverpool. Diaz and Gakpo haven't been good. Arsenal, Martinelli and Trossard haven't been good.
We could just also just put Saka in there, but that's not fair for the seasons that the others have had.
Yeah, I'm not putting Saka there, man. I'm trying to think. Aston Villa.
No one. I mean, no one.
Chelsea. I like Sancho, but he hasn't played enough.
And Palmer's had
Hudson-Odoi?
Nah.
No. Kevin Schade?
No. Even though Schade's decent, no.
Mitoma?
So yeah, I like Mitoma, but again, not the best season. He was better last season.
Oh, bloody hell, I forgot. Eze.
Eze's with a shout.
I just forgot about Eze. Yeah, Eze or Cunha, the 2 players United need to be targeting, because Eze has been playing left anyway. So
Gordon's a shout. That's good with the DXO with Gordon, but
I don't. I'm not. Do you know what? I don't really rate Gordon. I've never have rated him. And yesterday he was poor as well.
He's like a better Garnacho. That's the best way I can describe him.
Yeah. A more efficient Garnacho. Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
Who else we got there? Yeah,
I'm just gonna look up Eze's stats, because honestly, we're already going for stretch.
I think do you know what I see the other day? I think he might have 13 goals and 11 assists.
But it might be with FA Cup included.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah,
FA Cup, Carabao Cup, all things included. He's at 13 goals and 11 assists. But for Prem, which is what we're going to focus on, I guess, is 7 goals, 8 assists. Whereas I think Cunha is like
15
15 and 4, I think it was for Cunha.
Okay, well, if it is, then I'm happy to go with Cunha.
Yeah.
DXR says Eze.
Again, I really like Eze. Oh no, he's proved me wrong. Cunha's 15 and 6 on Prem only.
Well, he's got 15 goals, 6 assists.
Yeah. Okay.
Should we just put Cunha then?
Yeah, because I mean, this many goals for Wolves. He's participated in 41% of their goals. That's Ahmad levels.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. Yeah, Cunha it is, man. Cunha it is. Again, I think there's not really too many players that can compete with him, really, in that sense.
Yeah. And see, this is where I come to a Gav, where should we have a 5 at the back?
Yeah, but then the problem is, what player are you taking out then?
The 10.
But this is the thing, and I'm glad you said that because the 10 for me is unanimous. There's no argument for me. Number 10.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. I mean, but then again, it makes sense because, again, Cunha's not talked about. He's had a great season, but is it team of the season type of season, right?
Yeah.
So it's got to be either one of the left wingers or 10s that we take out. But I think for the season that has come past, would I take Cunha or, whatever 10 we select here over a Kanate? I don't think I would. No matter how good they were.
This is the thing. This is the thing, yeah. If we did do 5 at the back, yeah, I understand putting Kanate in there. But then the problem we have, because this number 10 has to be in there for me. No doubt. And he can play from the left as well. So it means we're either going to take out Cunha or that player. But that player has to be in for me.
Okay.
And that is Morgan Rogers.
I knew you were going to say Morgan Rogers, but I'm not sure. I mean, I love the player and his abilities, his qualities as a player. It's amazing that Aston Villa have scouted and picked him up, and he's done so. He's didn't have much of a run-up period. He just put into the team, and he's flourishing, right?
Yeah.
But I think he's also had some poor games. That's the thing with Morgan Rogers.
I don't know, man. I rate him highly, man. I think at this moment in time, I think he's England's best talent. I think he's that good. I think he's another one, just like what you said about McAllister. I think he can go and play for any team in the world. I think he's that good. I think the only thing he probably needs to improve on, obviously, is his output. But I think in terms of everything you need in that position as a number 10, I think he has it, man. As I said, I rate him highly. I'd love him at Man United, which obviously United ain't going to get him. But I think he and there's a reason as well. If you look at all the players that Unai Emery has, he plays Morgan Rogers more than anyone.
Yep, it makes sense. Rates him highly.
Yeah. So
Morgan Rogers definitely has a shout.
Say again.
Morgan Rogers definitely has a shout because again, in the 10s and the left wing, your choices are really, really, limited, looking for scraps, as I said. So, I mean, honestly, even with the season he's had, the only other real person I could think of was Palmer. And
Palmer's had a poor season for me, though. I think he's had a poor season. Yeah, I don't think he's been. And the thing is with Palmer, for me, Palmer's better from the right because he needs to go in the half spaces and pick up the ball. Whereas in traffic in the 10, I don't think that's where he thrives. So. Yeah, man.
I'm happy with Rogers there because there was very few choices you could make anyway, and the two I had were Palmer and Rogers. So it has to be Rogers.
Well, based on that, obviously 2 former Man City players, I'm going to say Rogers because I think Rogers has been one of the players of the seasons for me. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I'm fine with Rogers in the 10. Yeah.
Cool. I mean, the formation change, I understand what you're saying. But then, is it right leaving that Cunha?
I think it is because, again, the season has been bad. And again, if Cunha, I know Cunha has delivered in terms of goals and all of that, but then you think, team performance-wise and stuff, shouldn't he have been able to do a little bit more? Shouldn't Wolves be a bit higher on the table if he has this much product, that sort of thing? So, when you put all those things in, that's where you kind of think okay, these guys are getting their GA, and this is why I go back to this point. But GA isn't everything. It's all about, what they're able to do footballing-wise. That should matter.
Yeah.
And when you look at it from that perspective, I don't think footballing wise, again, GA does matter, right? Because again, in the day, you win or lose based on the goals you score, right? So because you have those two factors, and because looking at it that way, again, you go to, would you rather have, when you're building a fresh 11, would you have a Canate on your team, or would you have a Rogers on your team, or a Cunha on your team, right? And that's where I'm kind of coming at with having more defenders, because I think this season's been atrocious. I think Rogers, even though he's a quality player and relatively consistent, but he's had poor games, quite a lot of poor games. Same thing with Cunha. So
I don't like this three at the back.
Yeah, I understand. I understand.
You know what I mean? Like, this three at the back has scarred me, watching it all season. So I just can't bring myself to do this, But to be fair, you have got a point, really. You have got a point with putting Canate in there. So okay, what? So you're gonna put Canate in, then take out Cunha then?
Yeah, that's what I would do.
All right, cool. Let's change that then. Let's change that. So we're gonna go for what? Is it what, a 3-4-3?
We could do 5-2-3. That's how it is, right?
5-2-3. Let's have a check. I'm thinking of 3 to have Livramento and Cucurella as wingbacks.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do a 3-4-3 then.
Yeah, we can do 3-4-3. Sure.
3-4-3. So let's change the names quickly. So
you got to move.
Yeah. No, I'll do it. So.
Also, striker, I guess.
Yeah, it's gonna be Rasmus Højlund for sure, man.
100%. Yeah, Shams is right on the money there.
It has to be Rasmus. I don't want to hear nothing not Rasmus. Right, 1 minute.
Hey, see, you don't see this on any other stream, guys, where because we judge the best players in the season, everyone's going to go 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3. No one ever talks about, what, the best players in this season have been defenders, so more defenders should be getting in. Right?
Right. Let's just do this 1 minute.
Yeah.
So we've got Canate,
yeah? Yeah.
And I'll tell you one thing, that back three, I don't know how you get past that.
Yeah.
Because you've got the organizer in the middle in Van Dijk, and then you've got the physicality and pace of Canate and Gabriel. So that's a problem there.
All intelligent players as well.
Yeah.
And then you got Livramento.
Yeah, so we've got Cucurella here.
Yep.
And then we got Livramento.
Yep. Then we have Salah, Rogers, and then the striker.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, the striker's pretty simple. As I said, it's going to be Rasmus. Best striker in the league. Best striker in the league by far. But yeah, no. I think we're all going to agree on Isak, aren't we?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. He's produced the most.
Anyone really has rival Isak? No.
The only other shout you could put there is probably Chris Wood.
To be fair, Chris Wood has got goals this season. To be fair, I think Chris Wood, I mean, his game for me ain't great, but
it is
in a team with the likes of Nottingham Forest that don't create too many chances. I think he does get goals, man, which is fair enough. I mean, Another player we didn't mention, which was Gibbs White as well.
Oh, yeah, Morgan Gibbs White is a great shout too, but
Yeah. He's more in the 10 though, isn't it?
Yeah. And I wouldn't put him over Morgan Rogers, unfortunately.
Yeah, no,
He's had a great
I
season,
wouldn't.
don't get me wrong. But yeah.
Yeah.
Morgan Rogers, if you try to even look at his stats as well, you'd be surprised, guys. So
Yeah.
have a look at that as well.
Who's that, sorry?
So for Morgan Gibbs White and Morgan Rogers, if you want to compare the two, right? I can understand the people saying Morgan Gibbs White, but a lot more people watch Nottingham Forest, especially because of the season they've kind of had, right? And that sort of thing. But not many people watch what Rogers has been doing as well, because everyone at the start of the season, everyone was like, "Whoa, what's this guy?"
Yeah.
But watching him game after game after game, he's been producing. So, unfortunately, even though Gibbs White is a good shout, Rogers hasn't been better.
Yeah, I think Rogers has been better. And I mean, I think going forward for England, really, I think you got two players there that should, that should be staking their claims to play for England, I think, as well. But yeah, no, I think, to be honest with you, I think that team there is solid. It is a solid team there. I think the only thing I would say,
there's not much attacking threat, but again,
I was going to say
it's not much.
I was going to say it's lacking creativity, but obviously Rogers is creative. You got Gravenberch, obviously is creative as well from deep. But yeah, no, I think personally that's a good team, man. So guys, let us know what you think. So David Raya in goal, back three of Ibrahima Konate on the right, Gabriel Magalhaes on the left, and Virgil van Dijk, the captain, in centre. And you've got the two wing backs in Marco Corella on the left and Tino Livramento on the right. Then you've got a midfield of Moises Caicedo, Ryan Gravenberch. And then you've got a front line of Mo Salah on the right, Morgan Rogers on the left, and then Alexander Isak as a striker. So, and to be fair, that team, I believe, would take some stopping. It would. And
Shams posting in here, he would rather with this formation, he'd put he'd switch McAllister with Gravenberch. So there you go. Sham has seen the light.
You know what? But I can see why he would say that. It's because you're looking at a number 8 now.
Yeah.
Because it's a 3-4-3. So Caicedo can do the Kante role in a sense. So yeah, I can see that, but we're not going to change it now, man. We're not going to change that.
That's fine. That's fine.
But to be fair, yeah, I can see that. But then that's like saying you can put in Yuri Tillemans in there. You could put Sandro Tonali in there as well.
You can put a lot of players in here, 100%.
Yeah.
And again, DXR, you're right with saying this team kind of lacks creativity. But again, the team of the season, in my opinion, should be the best performing players, right? Yeah. Where they can function as a team, right? But not, sure, there's not enough creativity in this team. So maybe in the real world, you're going to be struggling a bit with goals. But there is no doubt that these guys in their position have been the best in their role. So, and then you think about the value of, let's say, Acuna, for instance, right? Would Cunha probably work better in this team? Probably would. But has Cunha had a better season than Caicedo or Gravenberch? Or has he had a better season than either or Isak and Morgan Rogers?
No, not for me.
So, again, that's what I think team of the season should be. It should reflect what the league is like.
Yeah.
And I think these players have been the best. This team might not function creatively, but in terms of player for player, these are the best players in their role.
Yeah. I 100% agree. And what's going to be funny actually tonight is that obviously Brighton playing Liverpool, and they're going to do the I think Neville and Carragher are going to pick their 1 to 11, and from this list here, there's going to, like, in my opinion, they're gonna pick. I think David Raya will get picked. Yeah, so they're gonna pick Raya, Van Dijk, Gabriel, Caicedo, Salah, and
They're not going to
Isak.
pick Caicedo. I bet
You don't think?
they're not going to pick Caicedo. I
Well, you
mean,
think they'll
Carragher
pick
has a
Rice and
strong
Gravenberch?
Liverpool bias. Oh yeah,
Rice
oh
and
yeah,
Gravenberch.
oh yeah. That's what they're going to do. Trust me.
Right. Do you know what? Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think. Well, the funny thing is, yeah, they're gonna pick the formation that they're gonna pick. I believe will be a 4-2-3-1.
Correct.
I think they'll pick a 4-2-3-1, and one of the sixes is going to be Declan Rice, even though Declan Rice has been playing as number 8. So technically they can't really put him in there, but they're going to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think their fullbacks might change. I think they might put Trent in there.
The only reason they're going to have anywhere near a similar team to us, by the way, Gav, is because Liverpool have been as clear at the top as they have, right? Otherwise, if this was a more competitive season, I bet you they would not. They'd struggle to pick this. They'd struggle to pick 3 of the same players, but because of how dominant Liverpool has been, they're probably going to pick Alisson. They're probably going to pick Virgil. They might pick Gabriel. Who knows? They're probably
I think Gabriel gets picked. I reckon they'll pick him. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to pick the Liverpool players. They're going to pick Gabriel, and they're going to pick Salah. Yeah. So they're going to have 4 immediately there.
Yeah. But, I think the 3 we've got in there in Salah, Gravenberch, and Van Dijk, they're definitely going to be in their team of the season. I don't think Konate gets in there.
Yeah, he's not going to be in there.
Yeah. Because the 2 will be Van Dijk and Gabriel, I think.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to be interested to see what their fullbacks are going to be and their wide players other than Salah, right? Because, again, there's not many to choose from. So are they just going to go from name value?
So they're going to do exactly what we done earlier. I think the 4-2-3-1 they do, they're going to pick Morgan Rogers, I believe, in the 10. I think the only player that can rival Morgan Rogers for them might be Gibbs White.
Mm. See, that's the mistake you're making, Gav. You're expecting them to try and put an Aston Villa player up there, right? And they just aren't capable.
I think they will. And I think they'll put Cunha from the left.
Nah, you're giving them too much credit, you Gav. Come on. You had me with they might put Rodgers in. They're never going to pick Cunha in there. Never. No way. Even though they should in that 4-2-3-1, they're not going to do it.
Listen, you've heard it here first, yeah? I guarantee you they're going to do that. Because you see with what they do, yeah? They pick a lot of the players that are on the forefront of everyone's mind. So because Cunha's obviously in the news about moving, and obviously they look at his numbers and they look at who's available on the left-hand side, there ain't no one there, really.
Yeah.
So I can see them putting Cunha. Salah's a shoe-in, and I think Isak's a shoe-in. But I think that 10 position, I think the only 2 they're looking at is 2 English players, Morgan Rogers and Gibbs White. I think that's what they're going to do. There might be talk about Bruno Fernandes because of the numbers, but
you forget the media darling Odegaard. Are they going to put Odegaard in?
Nah, Odegaard won't be in there. Nah, he won't be in there. No way. I think Trent they'll pick. I think left back it should be Cucurella, but they might make a case for Kirkes. Anthony Robinson from Fulham as well.
Mm-hmm.
They might make a case for them. But I can see. Yeah, I can see definitely Van Dijk, Gabriel, Gravenberch, Salah, and Isak. Definitely, I can see them players in there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think what they'll do with Trent as well at right back is because Trent is Trent's last season, it might be like a pity vote. You know what I mean?
The PR.
A PR vote. There we go. You know what I mean? And again, as Sham said, they'll pick Gibbs White because of the nominee for the Player of the Year. And let's not forget as well, the 2 players that, in my opinion, I was shocked to see in Players of the Season. They both scored yesterday. Gibbs White and Rice.
Mm-hmm.
So that might add to the it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I think the team we got there, man. I think it's a solid team, and rightfully so, man. I have no complaints there, really. No complaints.
And yeah, we lack creativity, but think of it this way: there's no creative player that's beating these guys. There's no creative player out there.
Yeah.
In the Prem, at least. There's no creative player that's going to beat this midfield and that back rate. There's no way.
I think if you look at that defense, the 3 and then the 2 in Caicedo and Gravenberch, I don't see how you get through that.
You don't.
I just don't see it.
Exactly.
Because you've got someone in Gravenberch who is press resistant. Caicedo's an animal, like he's all over the pitch. And then you've got 3 dominant centre-backs there with pace, strength, and in Van Dijk, he's very comfortable on the ball.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't see any weaknesses. I think if we're being picky, you're probably gonna say Cucurella, but Cucurella is not really a weakness. You know what I mean? So
he's the attacking threat that you lose when you have a kind of a back 5 type of system. Right?
Yeah.
But Cucurella, he's just a madman. He just goes into the box, come into the midfield, score from miles away. He's that type of guy.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. And then you got pace, power, goal scoring in that front 3, creativity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, solid, man, solid. But guys, big up, man. Big up yourselves as well, man, for contributing as well. So yeah, that was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, man. But yeah,
long
guys,
stream.
Great stream, man. 2.5 hours in. What's the time there for you now? Is it?
It's 12 o'clock at night.
12 o'clock. Okay. So it's it's 3 o'clock here now. As you can see, the sun right behind me. So I'm gonna go and enjoy that now. But yeah, Exedra, man. Big up for coming on, bro. Like some great insight, man, into the topics that we discussed, man. Obviously, we got the big Europa League final coming up on Wednesday.
God help us. God help us.
Mate, listen, I can't even tell you what I think is going to happen. I think if we're looking at, Man United winning trophies, then we have to be positive. But I think realistically, I don't know what this manager is going to throw up if I'm serious. So I think expectations are going to have to just be, kept in order for me, definitely. But I think for sure it's going to be a good game, an exciting game. And as I said, I'm going to do a live watch along, man. So what it's going to be? It's going to be too late for you, isn't it? Or too early?
Ooh, I think the Europa League finals at 5 a.m. So I'm going to have to see because again, as an Australian, you have to get used to these really disgusting start times.
Yeah, I can imagine.
See, I would normally wake up for this, but I mean, I've been like this for a while. I don't want to watch United. The only time I've watched United in the last 3 months is when one of the young guys from the youth are coming up, and I want to see how they play. That's the only reason I've been watching United this season, because I know what's coming.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree, man. Like they're a hard watch, man. I think I watched them out of not even love, just because I've always watched them. But I can't actually tell you the last game I've actually enjoyed watching United. And normally I wouldn't.
Gary Neville said it too. Gary Neville said that he can't watch United anymore, right? And I think this is Gary Neville, right? No one can doubt he's a massive United fan, and even he says he can't watch United. Right? It's something to think about.
Yeah. Listen, man. Like it's not easy watching them, man. I'll be honest. But I'm just hoping. Like I think the summer's going to tell me a lot. Where like what's really going to be going on, because there's players that need to go. Again, we've mentioned the manager, and if these things happen and they bring some good signings in, then I think we could be more optimistic. But I think the summer is what's going to tell me a lot about where this team's going. And
see, the way I kind of think about it, Gav, is I know this manager's going to go at the end anyway, right?
You reckon?
So the way 100%. I think he's. I'm going to make a bet with a lot of people here where, it's whether Ruben survives next season, right? Because he's probably going to survive this season.
But this is the thing. I don't want him surviving next season. I don't want him there.
I don't.
Like,
neither do I.
Yeah, I can't have him there to start the season because this season's been unacceptable. Like, yeah.
100%.
Who knows, man? Who knows? I think that's Ineos have to just grow a set, man, because
I just want to. The whole thing is we need this Europa League. We get that money and we get some quality players. As long as I see quality players coming through, I'm happy. I don't care who the manager is, because I know that over time. See, this is the thing people don't think about football enough. You can get success regardless of the manager. Chelsea has proven that, right?
Yeah.
And the way you do it is you keep accumulating talent. Better talent, regardless of who the manager is. The manager's job is to see the players he has and try to find a way to win, right?
Yeah.
But the main thing is 70% of the work is recruitment. 70 to 80%, I even would say, because it's the players that determine how you play. If the players cannot play a possession system, you do not play a possession system, for instance, right? I mean, Burnley found out the hard way with that. But yeah. There's a nameless fear in my heart, by the way, in terms of this final, and I guess I might actually watch it. It's because the level of humiliation that we will find as Man United fans if we lose to Spurs in a final, right? I've been saying this for a while. We're 2 or 3 years away from becoming Red Everton. Is that bad?
Who would have thought it?
Who would have thought?
Yeah, who would have thought it? I mean, yeah. I mean, what's your prediction? What are you going for?
So, even though I have that fear about Spurs, we have the better team that's going to start on paper because they don't have any creativity.
Yeah.
However, I do not trust this team. But we have to back this team for the finals. We have to back, Casemiro. We have to back the heritage. So I would say this is going to go into extra time and we're going to win 3-2.
Wishful thinking. You know what?
It's going to go off in the extra time. That's what I think.
The thing is, I like your optimism, but the problem that I have, I don't see where the goals are coming from. And Tottenham score goals. They've proved that.
Yeah.
So,
but they're Spursy, and honestly, I've heard from people that Vicario hasn't been having that great of a season. He was great last season, but he's been having some problems. I've been hearing people who say he's worse than Onana, which is impossible, by the way. But if they're willing to make that kind of claim, we have chances, and we have Ahmed, and we have Casemiro. So that's what I'm kind of banking on.
I mean, I'm going to say you know what? I'm going to surprise you, yeah? I'm going to say 1-0 Tottenham.
It's very possible.
Because I just the reason I'm saying that, I understand, the players United have. If you look at Casemiro, the guy has never lost a final at Man United. I look at all that, but I look at Højlund, because this is going to be massive. Højlund up against that centre-back pairing. If that centre-back pairing get their own way with him, I can just see wave of attacks. And I think eventually they're going to break United down, regardless of the creativity not being there. And not to mention as well, they rested their whole team, more or less, for this final.
I don't think that's going to matter, honestly, Gav. Because, again, it's a final. All the players are going to be up for it. They've sacrificed the league season, which I think is criminal, by the way. They should all be deducted wages. None of them should be getting a paycheck. But, again, form kind of goes out the window when you go into a final. It's all about who turns up on the day. And we have more players who can turn up on the day. But I completely understand where you're coming from with this 1-0 kind of thinking, because that can be same said for United. It can go 1-0. It's going to be a very close game, right? It's either going to be like a 1-0 or a 2-1 on either way. It's going to be very, very close. The only reason I say 3-2 is because I know both these teams can't score enough, right? So what's going to happen is Tottenham's going to score a jammy goal. We're going to find a goal somewhere, maybe with a bit of brilliance here and there, right? And then it's going to be extra time, and then everyone just goes haywire. And in those situations, we tend to do quite well. So we'll see.
I think one thing's for certain, man. Let's hope we don't go to bloody penalties, because that will
penalties are the worst, because penalties are the worst because even when you've been the better team, I swear, when you've been the better team, you always lose on penalties. It's always been that trend. I'm amazed that PSG were able to, beat Liverpool through this way, because I thought Liverpool, they're just going to scumbag this Champions League tie, because PSG completely battered them, right? But I'm very thankful that, again, PSG have done us a favor, and I guess we're going to keep needing these favors from these teams, and I hope that they can provide, especially next season when people don't talk about this enough. But guys, don't sleep on Man City next season. They're going this young kid they have in the 10, Echeverry, and Savio. This is his first season, right? Second season, he's going to tear up this league.
Listen, right? I'll go one further. Yeah. And I've said this before. If they get Florian Wirtz and Tijani Reinders, to go with Echeverry, to go with Savinho and Oscar Bob on that right-hand side, and then they've got Marmoush, who can play on the left as a striker, as a 10, Haaland up top, and then let's say Grealish stays. You got Foden there as well, Doku there. If they have that team there next season and Rodri coming back, that's the title's theirs. That's what I will say. Because I believe the best thing for City's fans, for me, is them losing that FA Cup, because I can't remember the last time Pepper's gone through a whole season without winning anything. Yeah, and that's gonna even entice them now to go out and spend. And obviously, I heard as well that they're in for Rodrigo. And if they get Rodrigo, Wirtz, and Reinders, which again is unlikely, because I've never seen a team get 3 world-class players in one season. Yeah, they are going to be dominating football for the foreseeable for me if that was to happen. But again,
I mean, here's the thing: they were going to spend regardless, because this is City's standards, which used to be our standards. Where if you had a season like this, where they fell to 6th in the league, right, and where they lost to us as well. Right, lost to Amram's Man United, right? When you have a season like this, right, their response is, you know what, we're going to spend and get the best players in the world. And when this happens to our teams, so Liverpool's included in this, by the way, except FSG just don't spend as much, and they don't like to spend, as was proven, after Klopp left. Man City have the right mentality when it comes to these things, and they have the money because they sell all their academy graduates. They get the money, and then they spend it very wisely. And then now they're getting this income from the Champions League,
World Championships as well. I think I heard they get 50 million for entering, and then they get something like 100 mil for winning it or something like that.
Yeah, something mad like that. Champions League, the money involved in Champions League is insane.
No, I mean the Club World Championships.
Oh, the Club World Champions. I forgot about those.
Yeah, they got that end of the season. I think every team that's in there gets 50 mil, and I think the winners get 100 mil from what I heard the other day. I mean, that's just crazy. You know what I mean? But I think one thing's for certain, man. Next season they're gonna do something in the summer, which is gonna turn everyone's heads. I can see it, because I can't see Pep going out like that. Obviously, he's back with his wife now as well. So he's going to have his head screwed on even more properly now. Yeah, man, it's going to be mad. But I think for sure, man, they'll be up there. Arsenal will fancy their chances. Same with Liverpool. Chelsea, you would think as well. Obviously, you have to see what happens last game of the season for Europe. And I expect Aston Villa and Newcastle and that to be strong as well. And who knows? I mean, Nottingham Forest, I don't expect them to continue this, but they've still got a chance of Champions League football, which I think is unlikely for them.
Yeah, Nottingham Forest have been quite fraudulent. I think next season it's going to go.
I think it'll tail off. Yeah,
it's going to be terrible for them next season. I think because again, the only reason that they're this high up in the table is because of the lack of quality from a lot of other teams, right? Yeah. Because all their metrics from how they keep the ball, the amount of chances they're creating and stuff. Make no mistake, guys, they've been getting quite lucky with a lot of these.
Yeah.
Right. And again, luck's the type of thing where it will run out if you keep relying on it.
100%, man. But guys, listen up. As I said, man, big up everyone for coming on and contributing. And again, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you do at GavGoesIn. And again, if you enjoyed the stream, guys, make sure you smash that like button. And Exedra, big up for coming on, bro, man. We have to definitely get you back on again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah,
It's a pleasure.
100%, man. Maybe obviously after the final, man. If anything, we can probably schedule one for next Monday again, if you're free.
It should be free next Monday. What day is that? That's 27th. I'll have to have a look because I think I have a wedding to attend that day. But yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, well, if anything, man, just you got me on Twitter anyways. Just message me when you're free, man, and I'll organize another stream again, 100%. And if anything, if you can, if you can, man, if it's not too early for you, if you want to come on and obviously do a watch along with me as well, then by all means, man. I'll send you the link out. But just message me on Twitter, man, and we'll sort that out.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Big up to everyone in the chat as well. You've been
guys,
giving us a lot to talk about. So yeah.
Yeah, listen, guys, big up everyone for coming on, contributing, man. As I say, we've been going for 2 hours 45 strong. And you guys, some of you guys have been there from the get-go, man. So appreciate that each and every time. And as I said, we go to Wednesday, guys. We go to Wednesday. Massive game. And we have to wait and see what Amorim does with this lineup and see who gets over the line between United and Tottenham. You know, obviously, massive game for both clubs, for both managers.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, we'll definitely be here. And, guys, I am back tomorrow. I'm going to do a live one with talking about a certain Tottenham defender, Mickey van der Ven, and showing how crucial he's going to be in Wednesday's game. So, yeah, make sure you come through. Obviously, it's been scheduled. But if not, guys, as I said, I'll catch you back here on Wednesday. And big up yourselves each and every time for coming on. Bro, take it easy, yeah?
Yep, perfect. See you soon, guys.
Take it easy. Later, man.